neighborhood of Tulsa, Oklahoma, a 911 call occurred. A woman, worried, had called asking for help, saying that she had heard gunshots. The 911 caller could still hear the screams from her neighbor's house. What could have happened at 5:30 a.m.? The police arrive at the location and they see a man whose dogs had mauled him. They rush the man to the hospital, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it. They have no idea what could have happened. But a 25-year veteran of Tulsa PD veteran, Detective Reggie Warren, will lead the investigation and try his best to enlighten the case. He arrives at the crime scene and gets informed about the victim's name. The victim was a 26-year-old man named Curtis Wickham Jr. The victim was born and raised in Tulsa. He attended Berry Hill High School and planned to work with his dad. The victim leaves behind a huge family, his mother, stepfather, 5 siblings, and 2 step-siblings. Detective Rob McCoy was there too and informed the team that 3 dogs were inside the house where the victim was found. The dogs were named Rosie, Boomer, and Summer. While the team was searching around the crime scene, the dogs were being held in the car, barking. The team got informed that the victim was the ex-boyfriend of the house owner. But the victim's ex-girlfriend had a new boyfriend, Benjamin, who was there too. He was the owner of the dogs. The new boyfriend of the homeowner had put the dogs in the car where the police had arrived. The house owner and her boyfriend will be taken to the headquarters so the team can know more about what had happened. Some of the detectives said that the victim and the female he was with were trying to break into the house. But when the dogs attacked them, the girl took off and ran out of the crime scene. Now, the team has to find this girl. Since the team knew a bit about the persons involved in this crime, now it was time to look for clues around the house. There was blood everywhere. There was a blood trail stretching from the front door to the road. In the yard of the house, the detectives found pieces of clothing. There was a shoe. The dogs must have ripped all of the victim's clothes. The detectives also found something terrible, the ear of the victim. There was a TV too. Could it be possible that the victim was trying to steal it? We'll find out. But the weirdest thing about this case was that the 911 caller had said that she had heard a gunshot and that the gunshot came from the area of the house where the crime took place. So, the team thought if the woman heard a gunshot, there must be shell castings somewhere, but they couldn't find them just yet. The team decided to run the metal detector. As the team was running the metal detector, they found a shell casting out on the street. The team discovers a .22 caliber rifle on the road far from the house. The team can't know if the victim was the one that had been shot. But the team can't find out yet because the victim's body was so badly injured when the dogs attacked him and they have to wait to find out if he was shot when they do an autopsy. The team also has to find out who was the one who shot. When the team wanted to see the dogs, the dog owner refused, saying that he would not allow the team to get inside his car. But the team needs to search inside of that Benjamin's car. He seemed suspicious. The team decided to secure a search warrant to search Benjamin's car. They also called animal control, which will be taking custody of the dogs. Then, the team gets some good news. The officers got a tip that the victim's friend, who fled the crime scene, was hiding somewhere at a friend's house. The team got the location, and they were ready to go and search for her, hoping that they would find her. But, the rest of the team will talk to the 911 caller and find out more about the gunshot. The team wants to know if the dogs ate the victim to death or if someone shot him. But first, the team needs to talk to the most important people, in this case, the house owner, Champagne, and her boyfriend, Benjamin. Detective Reggie Warren gets back to the headquarters and decides to talk first to the victim's ex-girlfriend. The detective asked her if she was feeling better, and she said that she had been better. Detective Reggie Warren asks her about who she is living with at the moment. She said that she has been living with her boyfriend, Benjamin. She began to tell her side of the story, saying that she was asleep when she heard someone banging at the door. She said she woke her boyfriend up, Benjamin, telling him that someone was at the door. She said that her boyfriend woke up and opened the door. When he opened the door, he saw that there was Curtis, the victim. She said that the victim hit Benjamin, but the dogs started attacking the victim. Then, she said that they tried to get the dogs after that. She said that Curtis, the victim, tried to get outside the house, running away from the dogs, but the dogs were following him. She said that the dogs were trying to protect her and her boyfriend. But, the team doesn't believe this. It must be something more behind all of this. But, the woman was swearing, saying that nothing else had happened. But no one comes to your house and tries to hit you unless they have a reason. The woman said she believed that the victim was at her house because he accused her boyfriend, Benjamin, of stealing his cell phone. But the woman was saying that they didn't have the victim's phone. The detectives asked her about the relationship that she had with the victim. She said that they had broken up for a month and that she didn't have big feelings for him. But, she said that her daughter liked him. Detective Reggie Warren asks the woman if there is a gun inside the house. The woman was saying that she didn't have a gun. But she admitted that she heard the gunshot, but she said that the gunshot was far from her house. Saying that it wasn't inside her house. She said that her neighbor had shot the gun off. The woman said that she tried her best, hitting the dogs, to get the dogs away from Curtis. The detectives asked her about the dogs. But she said that the dogs were good and never did anything to them or their daughter. Detective Reggie Warren asks her if her daughter has seen this whole crime scene. She says yes. The team believes that that little girl is probably traumatized and needs help from professionals. After some hours into the investigation, the team gets a message. The patrol had tracked Curtis's female friend, who had fled from the scene and had taken her into custody. The team put her in the interview room and started to ask her some questions. She is a witness. She was there. The team is curious to know what had happened. She says that she was at a friend's house early that morning, which happened to be just some block away from where Curtis was killed. She says that Curtis walked into the house and told her that he needed to use her cell phone. The woman agreed to give him her phone, but was curious and asked Curtis where he had his phone. Curtis had told her that somebody had taken his phone. Curtis had said that Champagne and Benjamin had taken his phone. The victim had told her that Benjamin chased him from Champagne's house yesterday and he left his phone behind. The woman wanted to help Curtis and said to the victim if he wanted to go together and take the phone. The woman said that Champagne was her friend and she thought that she would be able to take the phone without any issues. Then, that's what they do. She and Curtis walk down to her house and knock on the door. But Benjamin answered the door and was angry. She said that Benjamin immediately hit Curtis and they started fighting. The detectives wanted to know if Curtis had said anything to Benjamin that could piss him off, but she said that the only thing that he had said was that he needed his phone back. But the woman said that Curtis was winning the fight. Curtis was beating Benjamin. Then, Champagne starts hitting on Curtis too. The woman said that she didn't know what to do. She was looking out for the dogs. Then, the woman said that Benjamin and Curtis began not to fight anymore and decided to leave. She said that she and Curtis were walking towards the yard door. When all of a sudden, Benjamin told his dog to get Curtis. The dogs immediately ran to Curtis and bit him on his face. Nobody was helping him and nobody tried to get the dogs away. Curtis was crying and begging Benjamin to get the dogs. She said that the dogs attacked him for 10 minutes. Benjamin wasn't helping Curtis. He was grabbing him by the neck instead of grabbing the dogs. The woman said she was screaming, asking for help, but didn't want the dogs to attack her. But then she said that the neighbors told her that the police were on their way. Then, the neighbor shot the gun in the air because the dogs weren't letting Curtis go. Benjamin and Champagne didn't have a gun. The victim's friend was a big help to the team. Before the team asks Benjamin questions, they try to gather some information about him. The detective finds out that Benjamin Spence has prior convictions for burglary, assaulting a police officer, and felon in possession of a firearm. Benjamin was currently on federal probation. Detective Reggie Warren gets into the interview where Benjamin was being held and continues to ask him questions. Benjamin starts talking and telling the detectives that he belongs to the Universal Aryan Brotherhood, a neo-Nazi prison gang. Then, Benjamin tells his side of the story of what happened that morning. Benjamin said that he was sleeping, then his girlfriend, Champagne, woke him up saying that somebody was beating the door. He said that the second he opened the door, Curtis began to fight him. Benjamin noted that Curtis hit him in the head with an unidentified object. Then, he claims that he started defending himself when he suddenly heard his 3 dogs getting out of the couch and attacking Curtis. Benjamin said that he was beating his own dogs so that they could get off Curtis. But the dogs weren't listening to him. Detective Reggie Warren thanks Benjamin for telling his side of the story, but tells him that it did not match what the witness was saying. One of them was lying. Detective Reggie Warren tells Benjamin what the other witness had said. But Benjamin was claiming that the first person to start the fight was Curtis. He was saying that Curtis was hitting on him, but Benjamin was standing inside his house. He kept saying that he didn't do anything wrong. But Detective Reggie Warren tells Benjamin that they have to find out what had happened because somebody had lost his life. Benjamin seemed confused when he heard that Curtis was dead. Then, Benjamin starts changing his story, saying that at one point he was outside of his house just because the dogs were dragging Curtis. But some minutes ago, he said that he had been inside the house. The detectives asked Benjamin if he commanded the dogs to attack Curtis. Benjamin said no. But then the detectives asked him why someone would lie and say that Benjamin had commanded his dogs. Because that's what the witnesses had said, the victim's friend. The detectives didn't believe a word that Benjamin was saying. They asked him if he and Curtis had any problems before. Benjamin said that the day before, they got into an argument. Benjamin said that one day when he came back to his house while Champagne was sleeping, he saw Curtis in her bedroom. Benjamin asked Curtis to leave because he didn't feel comfortable since these two had been dating months ago. Benjamin said he wanted to fight with Curtis, but Curtis walked away. He claims that nothing wrong happened after that and that they were cool. But how can someone be cool and then you command the dogs to eat the person you were cool with the next day? But the detectives will interview Champagne one more time for a couple of clarification questions. They went into the room and there she was, still waiting while holding her daughter. The detectives were asking her once again if she heard Benjamin commanding his dogs to attack Curtis, but she said she did not remember. Then, the detectives asked her about that day that Curtis had gotten into her bedroom while she was asleep, as Benjamin said. The team wanted to know if Benjamin was lying. Champagne said that she didn't remember this happening. Since none of them said anything truthful, and since the stories didn't match, the team decided to call one of the assistant district attorneys and he'll decide whether or not somebody would go to jail. Or the team could let him loose and continue to work on the investigation. After some time of waiting for an answer, Detective Reggie Warren gets a call from the DA, and based on the information we have right now, they say that it's a unique case and that they are going to talk to some other DAs and see what they can do. Unfortunately, Benjamin needed to be released while the team waited to determine how the DA wanted to handle the case. But at least the team knows now that the victim wasn't shot. The only murder weapon was the dogs, but unfortunately, the dogs couldn't talk and say what had happened. Benjamin could have commanded them, but on the other hand, the dogs could have gone crazy from their instincts. The next day, Detective Reggie Warren gets a call from Animal Control, who are familiar with Benjamin's dogs. Apparently, his dogs always created problems. The day before the crime happened, officers were out there on these 3 dogs because these dogs scratched a kid and killed some next-door neighbor's chickens. The people that worked at Animal Control noticed that the dogs listened to whatever Benjamin said. He has total control of the dogs. While the team was waiting for the response of the DA to charge or not charge Benjamin with murder, they went and met with the victim's family. His mother said that Curtis was the type of person who loved life and was always smiling. His mother said that Curtis had gotten on the wrong path and that he had become a drug addict. The victim's mother and dad were sad over the news that their son had passed away, very tragic. Days had gone by and the team still couldn't give the victim's family the justice they deserved. But, suddenly, the team gets an email from Champagne saying that she wants to talk. So, she came to the headquarters again and was ready to speak. Detective Reggie Warren was more prepared than ever. Champagne started crying, saying that she wanted to talk because it didn't feel right and that she was scared. Champagne says that she had been crying for days. Champagne noted that she had no idea that Benjamin had taken Curtis's phone. Detective Reggie Warren asks Champagne if she has been communicating with Curtis. Champagne says yes. She says that she has texts with Curtis. The team thinks that Benjamin must have been jealous over Champagne and Curtis texting with each other and that's why he must have taken his phone. But this was not the matter. The team wants to know if Benjamin tried to get the dogs off Curtis at any point. Champagne said Benjamin began to talk to the dogs after it was too late, after Curtis was almost dead. She said that Benjamin tried to pull Curtis inside the house and help him get away from the dogs. But then, Benjamin took the TV standing there and threw it at Curtis's face. Champagne said that she was shocked when she saw what Benjamin was doing. Curtis, at that point, wasn't moving and wasn't able to defend himself. Champagne said that she doesn't remember hearing Benjamin commanding the dogs to attack Curtis, but she saw Benjamin pointing to Curtis. She said the dogs weren't attacking Curtis until Benjamin pointed at him. She said that every time Benjamin points at something, the dogs listen to him, for example, when he wants the dog to get in the car. Champagne shows the team a text that Benjamin had written saying that he would stab Curtis in the face as soon as he came back. This text was days before the crime had happened. She said that Benjamin had always had problems with Curtis. Champagne always welcomed Curtis at her house whenever he was hungry or cold. Benjamin was jealous of this. She was crying, saying that watching Curtis die was the most challenging time of her life. He didn't deserve to die that way. Detective Reggie Warren typed all the information up and sent it to the district attorney. Luckily, they felt there was enough evidence to go ahead and issue a warrant for Benjamin. Benjamin will be charged with second-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon. Now, the team needed to find where Benjamin was and arrest him. It had been 3 weeks of not being able to find Benjamin when suddenly the team got a call. Detective Brad Sharp was on his way to find Benjamin and arrest him. He says that Benjamin was on federal probation and he's always been difficult. The team goes to Benjamin's location and they find him. He puts his hands in the air and the team gets him inside the car. The team doesn't believe that it is necessary to interview Benjamin again. He probably would tell the same story again, trying to make himself sound innocent. But justice is what stands in the end. Benjamin Spence was charged with second-degree murder and assault with a dangerous weapon. All of this happened because 3 people got involved in a love triangle. The dogs were put down because of this. But the dogs are not the ones to blame. It's the owner. It's sad to think that Curtis died from dogs when he had spent all of his childhood with pit bulls.
In Gwinnett County, after midnight, a 911 call occurred. Somebody had called saying that their son had been shot. The caller shared an address where the crime took place, Thompson Mill in Pebblebrook, behind a store. The first thing that we got to know about the victim is that it's a 15-year-old boy. He had been shot in his head and was barely breathing. What could have happened to a 15-year-old to deserve this? Anything could have happened. That's why Corporal Mitchell Pop and the whole team arrive at the crime scene, picking up clues. Unfortunately, the victim was rushed to the ER, but the doctors couldn't have saved him. He died. Who was the 15-year-old boy? The victim's name was Brandon Herina. The victim attended Beaufort High School, where he was an excellent student. He was a good kid. Brandon played guitar, sang in the school chorus, and planned to study video game design in college. The first responders of the 911 call had found the victim's body on a trail behind a store. They didn't find any shell casings, but luckily, the team had secured Brandon's phone. You can learn a lot from someone's phone. The team was excited. Sergeant Shelley Millsap had good news, saying that he had the video downloaded from the store's security camera. The victim's family was still there at the crime scene. They still don't know that Brandon has passed away. So, Corporal Mitchell Pop goes there to talk to the victim's dad, who had called 911. The team tells the parents' victims that they still can't know what happened. The victim's father's girlfriend continued to speak, saying that they were lying in bed when suddenly, a friend of the victim rushed to their house and asked them for help. Then, she said they drove as fast as possible to the crime scene and saw Brandon lying on the ground. But the team had to tell the father and his girlfriend the bad news that Brandon had died from a gunshot wound. They couldn't believe it. They were crying, but the goal was to find who did that to Brandon, so the team let them calm down a bit and then started asking some questions. Corporal Mitchell Pop asked them if Brandon had ever smoked marijuana or anything like that. The victim's family said yes. They said that Brandon had been in trouble before and had been drug tested, but he had never failed the drug tests. Brandon was in drug and alcohol classes. But there at the crime scene, there was one of the victim's friends. His mother was sitting with him there. So Corporal Mitchell Pop needed to talk to that boy. He must know something. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks him if he saw when Brandon got shot, and the boy says yes. He asked him if he remembered what kind of gun the shooter had. He said that it had a long clip and was black and silver. The victim's friend said that the shooter and the victim were pushing each other. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks the victim's friend if he had a phone with himself. He says yes and then gives it to the team. The victim's friend also said that he had had a black book bag when the shooting had happened. He said that he had left the book bag at Brandon's house. But the team had other questions too and needed to take the victim's friend to the headquarters. He agreed. But first, Corporal Mitchell Pop needs to head to the victim's house and take that black book bag. It can be the answer to this whole crime case. But, unfortunately, Corporal Mitchell Pop couldn't find the black book bag. After some time, Corporal Mitchell Pop arrives at the headquarters with the victim's friend and his mother. Detective James Lawson was there too. But the team was feeling bad because the victim's friend still didn't know that Brandon had passed away. Corporal Mitchell Pop and Detective James Lawson start asking the victim's friend questions. He said that he had known and had been friends with Brandon for 2 years. Then, the victim's friend continues to tell about what had happened that night. He said that they were at Brandon's house. He noted that Brandon had said that he needed to pick up some things. Brandon said that he was going to Sam's. The victim's friend said they usually get some airheads and trolleys, which were candies. Then, he said that they started walking toward the gas station. He noted that Brandon didn't go to the store. He decided not to. And that's when they turned into that road when Brandon was shot. That road could also lead to Brandon's house. So, they decided to walk that road. The victim's friend says that a guy comes from Sam's all of a sudden. He said that that guy was staring at them all the time. That guy started saying stuff to Brandon, calling him ugly and stuff. Then Brandon charged at him, and the guy seemed nervous and just shot him. The victim's friend said that when he saw that Brandon got shot, he ran to his house to call for help. But he said that Brandon didn't know who the guy was. The team felt like the victim's friend was lying and said he needed to tell the truth because they would either find out from the victim's phone or even from the surveillance camera videos. He seemed scared of this and said there won't be any trouble with Brandon. The team said no, and then the friend continued to tell the story, saying that when he arrived at the store, that guy reached out to Brandon, texting him on his Snapchat. He was meeting with the guy to sell him some weed. The victim's friend said that he had his bag on. He said they were waiting at the back store, and then the guy showed up. But the guy was not giving the money for the weed. He didn't want to pay. Then the guy pulled the gun and took the bag. He said Brandon wanted to get the bag back and push the gun, but the guy shot Brandon. The team asked where did the shooter go. He said that he had run straight into the trail. The victim's friend said he had never seen that guy before and didn't know who he was. The team told him to describe the suspect, and he said that the black guy was skinny. Corporal Mitchell Pop and Detective James Lawson get out of the room and look at the surveillance video. 15 minutes before the 911 call, they saw that Brandon was behind at the store. His friend was there too and had the black backpack, as he had said. The team could see through the video that Brandon was nervous. He was walking left and right, but then the team notices something fishy. They noticed that Brandon's friend was the one who communicated with the suspect. He was the one on the phone texting with someone, not Brandon. The suspect doesn't appear on the surveillance video. The team searches for the other cameras, hoping to see the suspect, hoping that they find something helpful. But nothing. Corporal Mitchell Pop and Detective James Lawson get back to the room where Brandon's friend was being held. They tell him that on the video surveillance, there was no suspect, and Brandon wasn't the one who was texting meeting with someone as he had said. They told him that he needed to tell the truth about what had happened. And then they say to him that Brandon was dead since he didn't know. But the friend was saying that he was not texting the guy. He said that he was texting a girl. The team asks him to show the text to that girl. The victim's friend opens his phone and starts running through his texts. The team looks at his text around the time that the shooting took place, and they see that the messages corroborate his story. The victim's friend said that if the team had Brandon's Snapchat, he could show that he was the one texting with the suspect. They take the victim's phone and find out that the suspect had blocked Brandon, and all the messages were gone. But it seemed like Brandon's friend just needed some time to talk. He says that Brandon mentioned that the suspect was coming from a friend's house in the neighborhood. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks for this address, and the witness gives it to him. He said that the suspect's home address was Arden Drive. The team asked him if he had anything else to say, but the witness said he had told everything he knew. The detectives head back to the neighborhood's friend's suspect address. They knocked on the door, but no one was answering. The team walks around the area to see if there are any security cameras, but there was nothing. No camera security. As the team was walking around that area, they came across some people, and they asked if they knew about what had happened to the 15-year-old, if they knew about the case. A man said that a red Mustang had parked there at the stop sign the other night. He watched the suspect get out of his car and walk toward the trail. The man said that he thought the suspect was trying to steal something, so he asked him what was going on. The man said that the suspect told him that he was waiting for his friend. The man said that after some time, he heard a gunshot. Then, some dude came running. The man said that it was a 2006 red Mustang. The man tried to describe the suspect, the driver, saying that he was blonde and had dreads. The other suspect seemed younger and had short dreads. He said that the suspect came running from the street. He said that a house near that has a camera. So, the team went to that house that the witness said had a camera and asked if it worked or not. Luckily, the woman said that the cameras worked. The team needed to see the video some minutes before the 911 call. They started looking at the video and noticed that there was a Mustang, but could hardly tell the car's plate number. Then, they see through the video that the driver of the Mustang gets out of the car, but the camera can't catch him. Then, after some minutes, they see a kid running. The kid had a bag in his hand, and it looked like he was running in the direction of the trail. But the team couldn't see where the driver of the Mustang went. But it was possible that he dropped him off just to turn around and park. After the team heads back to the headquarters, Corporal Mitchell Pop discovers several missed calls from the same number. He called the number and the friend of the suspect answered. He reached out because Corporal Mitchell Pop had left his business card at his door. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks the suspect's friend if he can come to the headquarters and answer some questions. He agrees. After some time, the suspect's friend arrives with a relative. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks him what they knew about Brandon. The suspect's friend says that he only knows about Brandon because he used to stay over at his house, but he said that he wasn't there at the house when the shooting took place. He said that he stayed over at a friend's that night. He kept saying that he didn't know who did it. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks him if he knows anyone that drives a red Mustang. He says a name and says that that person has dreads with gold tips and is skinny. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks him if that guy would know Brandon. He says that he had given Brandon a ride before. Corporal Mitchell Pop gets out of the room and tells the team to search for the name of that guy, the guy who possibly picked the shooter up in the red Mustang. The team runs a search on the Mustang driver and can locate his address. Corporal Mitchell Pop gets a picture of the Mustang driver and tells it to Brandon's friend. He recognizes him immediately, but the team can't know for sure if he was involved or not. All they have for the moment is the red Mustang seen in the video. The clock was ticking, and the following day had arrived. Corporal Mitchell Pop received a call from a woman. The woman was saying that she knew about Brandon's murderer and wanted to talk to the team. The woman wanted to meet with the team but privately. They met up somewhere, and she started telling them what she knew. The woman said that the Mustang driver gave fake money to the victim's friend who was trying to sell weed. When he found that it was counterfeit money, the dude named Savian shot the guy. The woman said that the shooter was a guy named Savian and that the Mustang driver had a young child. She said that the driver fears that they will take him away from his son. The woman said that this was all that she knew, but this was enough for the team. Now they have to look after someone. The team got back to the headquarters and decided to look for this guy named Savian. They get informed that Savian was a 20-year-old black male and had a prior conviction for possession of marijuana, but the team had no idea where he could be. But luckily, the team got informed of an address where the red Mustang was seen. The detective arrives at the address but doesn't get close immediately. The team looked from far and saw two other males in the backyard where the red Mustang was parked. Then, SWAT moves into the house and takes the Mustang driver into custody. They take him to the headquarters, hoping that he would enlighten the case and tell precisely what had happened that night. They put him in the room, and Corporal Mitchell Pop starts asking him questions. He asked him if he knew who Brandon was, and he said he knew. Corporal Mitchell Pop tells the guy that there was video surveillance and an eyewitness who saw him and his car parked at the trail's end. Then he tells him that after the gunshot, the team has a guy on video running down the street carrying the victim's bag and getting in the car that this guy was driving. Corporal Mitchell Pop tells him that he needs to be honest and tell the team why that guy was there and why he got in his car. The Mustang driver doesn't say anything, and then he says that he wants to have a lawyer. Corporal Mitchell Pop says to him that he could get a lawyer if he wanted, but it was better if he would tell his side of the story. He was there. You can either be a victim or a suspect, said Corporal Mitchell Pop. Then, the driver changed his mind and began to talk. He said that he got a call from someone who couldn't say the name. He said that that person told him that he would buy some weed. That person asked him to give him a ride. He agreed, drove him, and dropped him right by a street. Then, the driver said that he turned around in the cul-de-sac and parked his car. Corporal Michael Pop asks him if he heard the gunshot, but the driver says that he didn't. The driver thought that that person was about to get some drugs and nothing terrible would happen. But then he says that that person gets back in the car. Corporal Michael Pop asks him what the person did once he got in the car. The driver said that the guy has had a bag with him and gave him some weed. He said that the guy told him to drive him back to his home, which he did. The driver was saying that he had no idea what had happened. Corporal Mitchell Pop tells the driver that he needs to tell this guy's name, so the whole team can stop and focus on him. The driver needs to think for himself if he is as innocent as he says that he is. But the driver said that he would not tell his name. The team could tell that he was scared. That guy must be very dangerous. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks the driver if he has any child, just as the woman said. The driver said that he had a son. He said that his son is going to be 2-year-old soon. The team says to him how would he react if someone shot his son to death, just like the 15-year-old Brandon. The driver seemed to be touched by those words and decided to tell the guy's name. He said that his name was Savion Dillard. Corporal Mitchell Pop asks him the address of Savion, and he gives it to the team, saying that he lives in the trailers. Corporal Mitchell thanks the driver for every information he had given but tells him that he was charged with armed robbery since he was the only one driving Savion. If he didn't drive him, none of this could have happened. But the team tells him that he can have a lawyer. The team transported the driver to the jail. Then Corporal Mitchell Pop take warrants for Savion for murder without wasting any time. The team decided to go to the location that the driver had given, hoping that they would find him there. They arrive at the location and start knocking on the door. One of Savion's relatives gets out of the house, saying that they haven't seen him. She was saying that Savion wasn't home, but the team couldn't leave the property without being sure. They go inside the house and search around. But the team meets up with 2 relatives of Savion, and they said that they had seen him some days ago. They said that Savion had a gun. When the team asked them what kind of gun Savion had, they said it was a black pistol, an extended mag. The team asked them if they knew where Savion was. They said that Savion was in Clayton County, Jonesboro, Georgia. They said that Savion had been staying with another relative. They gave him a call asking if he was home, and the relative said yes, that Savion was at his house. Corporal Mitchell Pop tells him to tell Savion that he needs to turn himself in since he was being charged with murder. Corporal Mitchell Pop called the U.S. Marshals to go and look over that address and see if they could find Savion. After some hours, the team gets a call from Savion's relative saying that somebody must have told him something because he was not coming back to the house. The caller said that he would do his best to find him. Then after some time, a tipster says they saw Savion in a Facebook photo taken in Wisconsin. Then, one of the marshals recognized an area of Green Bay that it was. They went to the place where the Facebook pic was taken. They went into that location and spotted the suspect. He was running, but the team could luckily take him into custody. Then, Savion finally got transported to the headquarters, and the team was ready to ask questions. The detectives get into a room and introduce themselves. Savion looked like he didn't care. He didn't want to talk at all. Corporal Mitchell Pop tells him that he was being charged with felony murder, a reference to the murder of Brandon. But Savion didn't care at all. He was playing with his dreads. He didn't agree to talk, but Savion Dillard was convicted of murder and sentenced to parole. The DA declined to pursue any charges against the driver of the red Mustang. It's crazy to think that there are people that can take innocent souls over pointless, stupid things. But justice is what stands in the end. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the middle of the day, a 911 call occurred. A man had called saying that there was a car that ran into a building and that he had heard gunfires. But that man was not the only one to call 911. Another 911 call had occurred. A man said they needed the police and the ambulance because somebody got shot. But the calling didn't seem to stop. A woman called, saying that she had seen a man whose face and the shirt was covered in blood. It looked like he had been shot. The woman was saying that the man was not breathing. What could have happened? When the team arrived at the crime scene, the victim's body was still lying on the ground. He was on the 2nd floor of a building. Officer Kevin Kubitz was telling how there was blood on every stairstep. The team doesn't know a thing about the victim. They are waiting for identification, but the team could still tell how many times the victim had been shot and where. He was shot once in his arm, once in his chest, and once in the back. The team found out that there was some blood on the door of that building, and it got them thinking that the victim might want to get in there. Detective Mark Kennedy and Detective Jeff Gatwood were there too, and they found out that the car parked in that building, the window of it was broken. They decide to get into the car and look around for clues. Inside the car, the detectives find out that there was a phone. The team believes that the shooting might have taken place inside the vehicle, but still, nothing was for sure. The team went around the crime scene, around the car, but they couldn't find any shell casings. But the team started the investigation on the right foot. The team noticed security cameras on the street corner where the victim was. Detective Nathan Schilling decided to go and try to get access to the apartment complex surveillance cameras. Luckily, many people had called 911, so that means the team had many witnesses and many people to ask questions to. The detectives decide to knock on the door of the houses near that area and find out if the victim lived there or not. The detectives asked people, but they said they didn't know who the victim was. So, the team thinks that the victim could be desperate and looking for help, that he just went to that second-floor apartment. Then, the detectives began to ask the witnesses who had called 911. A man said that he had heard a gunshot. Then he saw the victim asking for help and telling him to call 911. The man said that he didn't know who the guy was. But one of the witnesses saw something interesting, saying that another man was there beside the victim, who got out of the car and ran behind the apartment where the victim's body was found. The witnesses said that the man had an A380 or 9mm. The suspect was wearing a long coat, and he had a black stocking hat on his head, which looked like a bit of a ball. The witnesses said that the suspect was a young black male around his 22nd. Detective Brandon Watkins goes behind the apartment to see if the suspect had dropped something, a clue. As the team looked around the crime scene, they heard someone's phone ringing. It was the victim's phone. Someone was calling him. Detective Gadwood takes the number and calls it from his phone. They couldn't touch the phone found at the crime scene yet. The detective rings the number, but no one answers. But he doesn't give up, and after some minutes, the detective decides to call that number again. And luckily someone answered, a man. The detective introduces himself, and the man says that he was trying to reach his friend, Jeremiah. The detective asks the man questions to find out more about the victim. He asks the man if Jeremiah is black or white. The man said that Jeremiah was white and was around 5'7". When detective asked the man how he knew Jeremiah, the man didn't respond and hung up immediately. But at least the detective got the victim's name and surname, and he is going to search for him in the database and see if he could make a preliminary identification. Detective Gatwood gets back into the headquarters and searches for the victim, Jeremiah Goldman. A picture popped up, and it looked like the victim. The detective learned through the database that Jeremiah Goldman was only 28-year-old. He graduated from Bixby High and worked in construction. Unfortunately, Jeremiah leaves behind his parents, 2 sisters, and a brother. The detective decided to call that number again, and the man answered. The man began to talk, saying that Jeremiah was his friend and that they worked together. The man said that Jeremiah was supposed to pick up money from his boss. He said that Jeremiah had been gone for a long time, and nobody could reach him. The detective asks him about what kind of work he and Jeremiah do. The man said they do asphalt, and they had just started the job that day. Then, when the detective asked for the man's name, he said William, and then he hung up. This man was suspicious and didn't tell his surname when he got asked. Then, Detective Jeff Gadwood gets a call from the rest of the team on the crime scene. Someone else had been calling the victim's phone again. The team reached the number and called it. It was the victim's mother. The team goes to the victim's mother to tell her that her son has passed away. After some hours into the investigation, the team accesses the surveillance security cameras. This could change the whole investigation. They click on the video and start watching it. They notice the victim's car going into that area, and then the victim gets out of the vehicle. The victim came running and was waving his arm. He gets into the second floor of the apartment, where he was found, but the camera angle didn't get the chance to show the team who shot Jeremiah. But luckily, there were cameras behind the apartment too. So, the team takes a look at that. They see that a man was there, exactly how the witnesses described it. He was a young black male with a hat on, and it looked like he had a gun in his hand. As the suspect was walking, he dropped the gun. The team could quickly tell that the suspect was either drunk or drugged. He looked like he could barely walk. But the team was happy because they could easily see the suspect's face. The camera got him good. The man was going around the apartment while he was reloading the gun. He was preparing to shoot. Then, the suspect was walking around the area towards a complex called the Addison. Since the camera got him nice and clear, the team decided to put his picture throughout the news. Someone might know him and reach out to the team. After some hours, the team gets back to the headquarters after talking to the victim's mother. Her mother had given information to the team. She said she had picked Jeremiah and his friend Billy that morning after they had finished work. Then, the mother said that Jeremiah went out saying that he had to get some money from his boss, but the mother doesn't know if Jeremiah ever met with his boss. But the craziest thing that Jeremiah's mother had said was that Billy lives in the Addison complex. The Addison complex was just some block away from where Jeremiah's body was found. The team still didn't have the chance to contact Jeremiah's boss, but luckily they had a phone number. They call the phone number without wasting any time. Jeremiah's boss answers, and the detective introduces himself and tells him what is going on. Jeremiah's boss begins to talk and says that the last time he saw Jeremiah was at a convenience store. The boss said that they met there, and he paid Jeremiah. The boss said that the money was for Jeremiah and Billy. Jeremiah's boss gives the team Billy's address. So, the team now knows that the victim had some money with him before he got shot to death. The reason for this shooting could be money. Since Jeremiah and his boss met up at a convenience store, the team wanted to go there and check for the cameras. But the team needed to meet with Billy too. After several attempts to reach Billy, the detectives head to his address, hoping that they will find him. Billy must know something. The detectives arrive at the location and notice that the lights where Billy lived are on. Billy lives with his girlfriend. The detective walks toward his home and knocks on the door. Someone opened the door saying that they didn't know where Billy was. Since Billy was not answering his phone and was nowhere to be found, the detective decided to head back to the headquarters and see if the rest of the team got the security cameras from the convenience store. But unfortunately, the team couldn't get the video. The team could only take some screenshots of the surveillance video at the convenience store. The detectives analyzed the photos and see that Jeremiah was alone at the store, and it could easily be seen that his boss headed him the money. But could it be possible that Jeremiah went there and took someone? One of the witnesses said that she saw another man get out of the car. Anything is possible. There are a lot of unanswered questions. The team decided to go over to Billy's once again and see if they find him home the following day. The detectives knocked on the door, but no one answered this time. Nobody was opening the door. Why would someone run away? Was Billy guilty? As the team was knocking on the door, the complex manager came and talked to them. The team showed her a picture of the suspect on the surveillance video. The manager says that she knew the boy and that he was banned from this era. The team is happy because the manager complex must know the boy's name since he was banned. But unfortunately, the woman didn't know the name of the suspect. But she said that she knew a girl that hung out with the suspect. The complex manager tells the team on what floor the girl lived. So, the team goes there and knocks on the door. She answers the door, and the team shows her a picture of the suspect, asking her if she knew him. The girl said that the boy's name was Zech, but the girl said that she didn't know his surname and didn't know exactly where he lived. She noted that Zech lives in the neighborhood. The detectives are happy that they found the suspect's name. They put Zech's name on GroupMe, reaching out to their departments to see if someone knows Zech's last name. The departments answered back and gave some names of suspects with the same name as Zech. Luckily, the detective recognized Zech's name from a previous homicide investigation. Zech had listed an address near these apartments where the team was, an address that would have been probably a quarter mile from where the murder took place. As the team found out more about Zech, the 16-year-old suspect, they got informed that Billy and his girlfriend had come to the neighborhood. The detective asks him why he had been hanging up the phone. Billy says that his phone had died, and he couldn't reach out to the team. The detectives ask him to come down to the homicide headquarters so that he can tell his side of the story. Billy agrees. As the team was getting ready to go back and interview Billy, they got a good call. Someone had called saying that they knew Zech. So, the detectives will interview this person too and see what she knows about Zech. But the rest of the team will stay near Zech's house and see if he comes by. Detectives head back to the office and meet with the woman who saw Zech's picture over the news and recognized him. The woman shows the detectives an image of Zech leaving the crime scene. The woman said that she was scared, and that day before the murder happened, she said she saw Zech walking around that area. The woman was 100% confident that that guy that she had seen was Zech. The woman was a big help to the team. But then it was time for the detectives to interview Jeremiah's co-worker, Billy. The detectives go to the interview room where Billy is being held. The team is hoping that Billy will enlighten the case. Billy began to tell his side of the story, saying that Jeremiah had spent the night at his house before he was murdered. He spent the night at Billy's because they were about to start a new job the following day. Then, Billy said they woke up early and got ready for work the next day. Billy said they worked till 11 o'clock. Then Jeremiah's mom drove him to his apartment. Billy noted that Jeremiah didn't come to his apartment. He said that he would be back after some hours. Billy waited for Jeremiah, but he was not coming back. Then he called him, but that's when the detective called him back and told him that Jeremiah was shot to death. Billy said that Jeremiah should have returned to Billy after taking the money from his boss and then bringing his mother's car back. The detectives wanted to know if Jeremiah was supposed to get back to Billy's with money or drugs. You can never know for sure. The detectives wanted Billy to feel safe and said that it was all right if they were supposed to get drugs. They just wanted to know what had happened. But Billy said that he was supposed to come with money. The detective asks Billy if Jeremiah used to have friends that were black. Billy said that there were times when Jeremiah hung out with black people. The detective asks Billy about the picture going all over the news about Zech. Billy said that he didn't know who he was and had never seen that person before. The team couldn't think of anything else to ask Billy, so they set him free. The team believes that Billy is not involved in this murder. As the rest of the team were standing outside Zech's house to see if they would catch him, they saw a man leave that house. The team was able to get the man stopped with the help of patrol and found out that that man was Zech's father. Zech's father seemed like a very good person. He was very cooperative with the team. He let the team search in the house and the car. Zech's father told the team that guns were back at his home. The team found a lot of guns, including a weapon that they think the suspect used as a murder weapon. He told the team that Zech was still inside the house and convinced Zech to surrender without causing any trouble. Zech got transported to the homicide. Zech's father also agreed to come to the headquarters and tell what he knew. Detective Mark Kennedy went into the interview room where Zech's father was being held and began to ask him some questions. He said that he saw the picture of his son, Zech, all over Facebook and knew that he had done something wrong. He said that he called his wife and asked her where Zech was. He noted that Zech was there when he came home, saying that it was not him who shot Jeremiah. Zech's father said that he was outraged and had shown Zech that his photo was everywhere. Everyone was looking for him. Zech's father said to Zech that he must call the police because they would look for him either way. But he said that Zech kept admitting that he was not the one that did the shooting. Zech's father said that all the guns at their house were his. But from now on, Zech's father decided to get the weapons out of there since he got other kids, and they are his responsibility. Now it was time for the team to interview the most important person in the case, the suspect, Zech. The detectives were ready to ask him questions. Zech seemed calm. The detective asks him about the school, and he says that he has been taking online classes. Zech knew why he was there. He knew that he was being accused of murder. The detective asks him to tell him what he had done that day. Zech says that he was coming home from a friend when he saw police and people. Zech says that he needed to walk behind the apartment so he wouldn't mess up anything at the crime scene. He said that after that he went straight to his home. The detective asked Zech directly if he was involved in the shooting, and he said no. He was also saying that he didn't have a gun on the day where Jeremiah was shot. He was lying because you could clearly see that Zech had a gun on the surveillance video. The detectives tell Zech about this, but Zech was still saying that he was not involved. He said he walked behind the apartment because he was scared when he saw the police. But the detectives told Zech that they knew that he was lying. Zech seemed less calm now and was about to cry. Then he began to tell the story. Zech said that he and his friend asked Jeremiah to ride them to the convenience store 3 miles from his house. Zech noted that the other friend with them was a white man named Raymond. Zech was saying that Jeremiah was not taking them home and that he was trying to kidnap them. Zech was saying that Raymond and Jeremiah were fighting in the car. Zech said that Raymond felt like he needed to defend himself, and that's when he shot him. So, a guy named Raymond was the one that killed Jeremiah. Zech was lying. The witnesses saw that only one man had gone out of the car, Zech. This guy named Raymond probably didn't even exist. Zech was feeling to start scared and admitted that everything had happened exactly how he told the team, but without this guy named Raymond. He started crying and began telling the story from the beginning, saying that Jeremiah agreed to ride him back to his house. It was just them. Jeremiah seemed calm. He brought Zech a drink and everything. But then Zech claims that when they arrived at the driveway of his house, Jeremiah didn't let him get out of the car. He was saying that he needed to come with him. Zech said that that's when they both started fighting, and that's when Zech shot him twice. Zech was saying that it was self-defense. When the detectives told Zech that Jeremiah had an amount of missing money, Zech seemed confused. Zech said that he didn't take any of Jeremiah's money. Zech noted that he had a job, had $120 in his pocket, and said he didn't need to steal from anyone. What a coincidence. That is the same amount of money that was missing. Zech admits that the day when Jeremiah was found dead, He was on drugs. Zech said that he has an addiction to bars. Zech asked the detectives if he looked like the person who would kill someone. He didn't, but he did, unfortunately. Zech wasn't able to talk anymore. He was crying, and his lips were shaking, saying that he was sorry. But he must take responsibility for what he had done. The team arrests Zech and takes him out of the interview room. Zechariah Stevenson was charged with first-degree murder, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and unlawfully carrying a gun. Ballistics confirmed that the revolver recovered from the father's car was consistent with the gun that killed Jeremiah. It was the same gun. The detective calls the victim's mother and tells her who her son's killer was and how everything took place. The victim's family deserves to know, but the team still got a video to look at, the surveillance video from the convenience store. They saw Jeremiah's car parked there and that Zech got in his car. They looked like they were on good terms. There weren't any signs, not a possibility that Jeremiah would want to kidnap Zech. Jeremiah just wanted to be a good person and give Zech a ride home at the end of the day. Team believes that this case was a robbery gone wrong. It's crazy to think how many lives are ruined over pointless stuff. Jeremiah will always be missed. How many murders happen every day across the globe? Is it the police or the government's fault, or the blame goes to someone entirely different? What do you think? When it comes to crimes, there's a lot of questions, but not so many answers. So many unsolved crimes, so many lost people that were never seen again, so many broken hearts left. This story begins on a very cold night in January, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Life is so unpredictable, even at 1:45 a.m., when you must be warm in your bed having your best sleep, excited for what tomorrow brings. Little did we know that the world would wake up with terrible news, other murders. 3 people were murdered, a 58-year-old black male called Kenneth Sellers and a 52-year-old woman along with her 28-year-old son. Where can we start? Just like every crime story, even this story begins with a 911 call. On the north side, a man in the neighborhood where the murders took place heard a woman screaming and noises of gunshots. He decided to call and explain what he heard. After some time, the police arrive at the place where the shooting happened. They decide to not waste time and get in the house as fast as they can, in case someone needed help. Unfortunately, there were 3 victims. When the police got in the house, they noticed that the victims weren't standing in the same room when the murder happened. It looked like they died exactly where they were before the tragedy happened. Almost like execution style, said the police officer. However, each of the victims has a name, each of them has a story. The first victim was standing by the door, the youngest one, the son of the mother, a 28-year-old, named Thomas. He attended Central High School in Tulsa. He was self-employed. He was shot in the chest and his head. The second victim noticed was murdered in the hallway, the 52-year-old woman, shot in her chest. The house was owned by the mother and her son. They lived together. The 58-year-old victim, called Kenneth Sellers, was the last one to be seen by the police. He was murdered in the bedroom of the house. He was on his knees next to the bed. He, too, was shot in the chest and his abdomen. We can surely say that Kenneth and the woman might have been in a relationship together. His sister confirmed it and told us that he was staying there for a whole week. Kenneth Sellers was born and raised in Oklahoma. He worked as a welder for over 10 years. He came from a big family, the youngest of 5. Kenneth, unfortunately, leaves behind 6 children and 9 grandchildren. I'm pretty sure he is very missed. When the police arrived at the house, they noticed that both doors were open. The front door of the house and the back door of the house. The back door of the house didn't look like it was forced to be opened. It seemed that the one that got in pretty easily and knew his intentions. The house was in terrible condition. It's quite the mess, Sarge, says the police officer. In the back of the house, the bedroom had been tossed. The killer, who came into the house, was for sure looking for something he knew that it was there. Perhaps something he owned, something that was borrowed from him. There were clothes, blood everywhere. The drawers were out. What were they looking for? There were a bunch of empty plastic bags on the floor. I guess they took for what they were looking for, drugs. There was some blood in the bed. In the pillows, there is a casting there too, said the police officer. Detectives believe that the young 28-year-old victim was shot in the right side of the bedroom, then he ran out of there while rubbing up against the wall as he is going. The wall had blood prints, then he ran over to the living room, where he collapsed and died there. As they were going around the house, the police officers saw that there were castings all over the house. There were 9mm shell castings. As the team was searching for fingerprints and DNA samples, the rest of the team got informed that the neighbor that had called 911 that heard someone scream so loud, that was the 28-year-old victim's girlfriend. She was already transported downtown to be asked questions about this tragedy. She might know something. She might even be the killer itself. We're about to find out. The girlfriend of the victim has a child, a 5-year-old, a daughter. She left the child to her sisters to babysit. She was the first one to get questioned about this whole situation. The police hoped that she would say something useful. And there she was. She looked scared. She was shaking. Her voice was shaking. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Why? Why did they do that to my baby?" She was talking about her boyfriend, the young victim, Thomas. The only thing she seemed to care about was if they are dead or not. She goes, "Can I ask you one thing? Are they dead?" And when the police confirmed that they are dead, she busted into tears immediately. The officer said, "I'm sorry for your loss, but we don't even know what relationship you had with the victim." She explained while crying that they had been dating a couple of months and that he used to sleep multiple times over at her house. That night the victim was staying at her apartment. The officer said, "What happened?" She started telling things in detail, as if the victim has said to her, "I want you to go with me so we can go get stuff from the house." The girlfriend said no because it was too late. They had to lay and sleep. But the girlfriend said that she does her washing at the victim's house. She said she washes her clothes and her baby's clothes there. So, she had to take some laundry from the victim's house and agreed to go without asking too much. The 28-year-old victim, Thomas, told to his girlfriend that his friend Melvin is coming too. The police officer asked her about this guy named Melvin. She said they were friends. Well, that they recently became friends. She says that Melvin used to always steal from her boyfriend, the victim. She says he came to her apartment. The police officer asked her about her daughter and who she was at the moment with. She said she left her child with her sister and her sister's boyfriend, saying that she isn't her blood sister, but she stays directly right across the hall from her apartment. The police officer asks, "So this Melvin comes at your apartment, picks you and your boyfriend, and you go where?" She answers with no hesitation, "We get in the car, me, Melvin, and my boyfriend. There was some other dude that I've never seen before," she says. Detective Mark Kennedy asked her, "What was the purpose of this ride? Tell us." She said that she had no idea. She didn't ask a question. She had to take some laundry and that's it. She says, "Sir, it was my only opportunity. I don't have a car." However, she continues with the story, "We arrived at the house. We go right around the corner to 29th, where the shooting happened. The first to get out of the car was my boyfriend. In the car, it was only me, Melvin, and the other unknown guy. The other guy that I didn't even know who it is, not even his name, left the car too." She says Melvin was in the front seat, and she was in the back seat. She says they were taking so long. All of a sudden, Melvin speaks on the phone with someone and says that he had to go and take his girlfriend. It sounded so fishy, like something bad would happen. She didn't believe it. She said to Melvin that they should wait for the others. He started the car, but I insisted and said no. She started screaming and saying, "No, take me back to go and take my man. What are you doing? Why would you leave them?" He wasn't even responding. He just drove to the corner of the street and came back. At this moment she knew something bad is gonna happen. Or at least something bad just happened, but she didn't know yet. She said that it wasn't even a minute, that they just looped. And we go back at the front of the house. I go in the house and see that. She says, boom, he goes off and I see that. I walk in the house to that. By that meaning she saw what happened. Officer goes, "So, who is the killer?" She goes, "The man that went out of the car." But she had no clue who that was. The only things that she said were, he had a black hoodie, he was brown-skinned, Melvin knows him. The police ask her about Melvin. Who is he? How old is he? And much more. She tells that Melvin is between 2 to 6-year-old. He stays in Gilcrease Hills with his dad. She says that she doesn't know Melvin's last name. This information was so good for the police and for the family's victims that deserve to know who is the killer if the girlfriend is being completely honest. Detective Diana Bauman decided to search for a man named Melvin in Gilcrease, a man in his 22nd that is living in the Gilcrease Hills neighborhood. Luckily, they did find a possible match, a photo so they can show it to her, and see if Melvin is the one that we're looking for, the possible killer. He is Melvin Porter. The detective shows to the girl a picture of Melvin and asks her, "Who's that?" And she immediately recognizes him. She says that he is the one that she is talking about. The investigators ask her, "Let's go back to the beginning. Tell us the previous story that Melvin and the victim had." She says that probably a week and a half ago, the victim, her boyfriend, gave Melvin $300 to buy him a gun, a 9mm handgun, but Melvin never gave him the gun. He kept the gun for himself, and this is why they had fallen out. She believes that everything started because of this argument between Melvin and the victim. Everything about the gun. So, when did they make up? They asked her. They had made up and become friends on the same day that the victim was shot to death. She said because apparently, Melvin gave back everything he owned to the 28-year-old victim. The investigators asked her if her boyfriend sold drugs. She told the police that the victim used to sell drugs. "I know he previously has. He just did 17 months for that," she says. They asked her about what kind of drugs he sold. Marijuana, cocaine, but she didn't know. As Detective Mark Kennedy was talking with the girlfriend's victim, some of the police officers also went to her house to check out her child, only to find out that she had left her child alone in her house and lied about it. Her daughter is only 5-year-old. How can you leave a child alone at home with everything that's going around the world? Since she lied about this, what about other stuff? Can we trust her? Is there more to the story? Detective Mark Kennedy asked her about her daughter, and she admitted to leaving her child at home but insisted that everything she said was true and she could be trusted. She felt sorry for leaving her daughter alone in the apartment. The Patrol went into searching for the 25 Melvin Porter in Gilcrease Hills, hoping that his story is gonna match with the girl's story. This was a brutal crime that 3 people died from it. "I want to know who did it," says Detective Mark Kennedy. 3 hours later, Patrol radio hits with the news that they found him and arrested him for drug trafficking. He had drugs, meth. He had 37 grams on him. It was time to hear Melvin's story. Detective Mark Kennedy introduces himself to Melvin and starts asking him questions. Melvin seemed so chill, not nervous at all, saying that he had nothing to do with the triple homicide and that he hadn't been there that night, only some hours before, but not when they were shot to death. He tells that he was there that day, at the victim's house, and told who it was there, his friend, his mom, and Thomas's mother's boyfriend. He says that Melvin and the victim were childhood friends. Melvin explained what kind of car he was driving, Ford Focus, what hour, and where he went next. When the police told him about what the victim's girlfriend told him, he just laughed and said that it wasn't true. Melvin said, "That's stupid. I don't care what she said to you all. I wasn't with her that night." He doesn't seem to like the victim's girlfriend. The detective notices and asks him what's your problem with her. He kept saying how she always used to steal from the victim, how she always used to be high on drugs, how she always used to stalk behind the victim's back. The detective asks Melvin if he has ever bought a gun for the victim, as the girl said. But Melvin said no. He said that he bought the gun for himself. "Where's the gun?" asks Detective Kennedy. Melvin said that he took the gun to clean it, saying that he has the receipt too. The detective asks him when was the last time he was in contact with the victim. He says that it was that day of the death of the victim and that he called him asking for drugs, for some weed. "But that didn't happen. What about the meth you had today with you?" asks Kennedy. "Did you take that from him?" "No," says Melvin. The police don't know what to believe anymore and time was running fast. Detective Mark Kennedy asks for evidence for a surveillance video of the victim's girlfriend's apartment. He might find a video of the entrance of her apartment. But then Detective Bauman goes through Melvin's phone and finds some very helpful texts. They discover a text that he shared with the 28-year-old victim, saying, "Bro, what's taking so long?" Does that mean that the girlfriend's victim was right? Melvin was there waiting in the car that night right outside the victim's house. The detective asks Melvin about this text and he says that he meant it for today. That they talked about finding him drugs but it didn't happen. Melvin still gives nothing. No clues. The girlfriend's victim gets arrested for child neglect. Melvin gets arrested for drug trafficking. But there's still a third person that we don't know who he is and what he did yet. Maybe he is the answer to all this messy big puzzle. They decided once again to look closer to Melvin's texts. Nowadays you can find a lot about a person through his phone. CPL Nathan Schilling discovered that Melvin texted someone that day before midnight saying, "Need a gun," hours before the murder happened. We're getting closer to finding out, I think. The same person that Melvin texted, that person texted back hours after the murder time saying, "I need some clean clothes, bro." His name was Christopher President. This person got some explaining to do. It seemed like he is the shooter. Investigators do their work and they find a pic of Christopher President. Some information. Christopher President, a 27-year-old black man, was charged with a lot of stuff: burglary, drug possession, and much more. A father, has a son, a wife, a family. The investigation in Melvin's phone continues. They find that after the shooting, that night, Melvin has searched on Google about news about this case and downloaded a police scanner app. Melvin has been lying all this time, meaning that he is guilty of something. Is Christopher President the shooter, and Melvin's just a getaway ride? Getaway of a cold, brutal murder. All of this progress was made within just 48 hours. 2 days later, the videos of the girlfriend's victim's entrance apartment were sent to the office. Melvin said he never came to the girlfriend's house, so let's see the truth. And there it was, Melvin's car, a Ford Focus, just like he said, matching the same time frame. The girlfriend's victim was right all this time. Melvin was at her house, picking up both the girlfriend and the victim, then driving to the house where the shooting made place. The video was clear. Melvin wasn't who he said he was. 1 month into the investigation, the officers decide that they have enough proofs to charge Melvin for murder. He was still in jail for drug trafficking. It's his last chance to tell us exactly what happened and all about this Christopher President guy. So they went to Osage County Jail and Sheriff's Office, where he was being held. The detective started asking questions. Melvin still kept denying it. Nearly 3 weeks later, Margaret Hain Bell, Tulsa PD, discovered by locating the locations of both Melvin and Christopher's phones around that same time when the murder took place, and found out that these two were together that night at the victims' locations. 1 month into the investigation, and they decide that it is enough evidence and decide to arrest Melvin. Now it was time for that detective Mark Kennedy to collect the DNA of fingerprints and the samples of the crime scene and see if it would match with our wanted Christopher President. After 2 weeks of searching for Christopher, the gang unit found him at his mother's house, arrested him for an unrelated outstanding warrant. The detective started to ask him questions, and after that, he would serve Christopher with his DNA buccal swab. He seemed nervous. They asked him about that the night of January 16th. He said that he has known about this case since his friend was arrested. His friend is Melvin. He knew the 28-year-old victim too, saying that he was friends with him too, that he was been at his house several weeks before he got shot to death. When asked if he was with Melvin that night, Christopher said no. He said that on the 15th of January, hours before the murder, his girlfriend gave birth to a boy. He was at the hospital. Melvin called just to say congrats to him, so Christopher asked for some drugs, pills, or something from Melvin since he got anxious about the fact that he became a father. He couldn't sleep. It helps with my anxiety, he says. So they went to a bar. They went to a bar near his mother's house, near the victim's house. After the bar, Melvin drove him back to the spittle, by his car, a Ford Focus. The detective asks about where he spent the rest of the night, and he says at the hospital. But his phone tells a different story. Christopher is making up a whole other story, so the investigator tells him the GPA coordinates, everything, and that night he was near the victim's house. The detective decides to call the lab and make the case even stronger. To see if his DNA profile matches, they asked him to open his mouth so they can take pieces of his DNA. After some time of waiting, the lab found no matches with Christopher's DNA. Kinda disappointing. However, the investigators put everything together, every piece of evidence, and the court decided to charge Christopher President with murder. They decided there was enough evidence. Christopher President was convicted of 3 counts of felony murder and 1 count of armed robbery. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Melvin, on the other hand, was convicted of 3 counts of felony murder and 1 count of armed robbery. He was too sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. The 28-year-old victim's girlfriend pleaded guilty to child neglect and was sentenced to a 3-year suspended sentence and probation. However, she was not charged in connection with murders. The victim's girlfriend was a very big help in this case. This was a very brutal crime that has come to an end finally. This happened only because people are greedy. Greedy for money, drugs, for having things that don't belong to them. So greedy that sometimes they forget the value of life. How precious life is. How can you take innocent people's lives? People shouldn't suffer. Their life shouldn't end for others people wants. But who is to blame really? Police, government, people, you choose. 8:58 p.m. in Mobile, Alabama. A woman put a call across to 911 operatives. As soon as the 911 operative answered the call, she asked about the woman's emergency. The woman said she needs the police right there in Mobile Terrace. The operative asked the woman for her address. The 911 operative heard the woman asking the name of the street from someone else. The caller got the name of the street from the person. She told the 911 operative that the street is Claude Harris Drive. She told the operative that someone just shot her son. The 911 operative asked the woman whether her son was still conscious. The caller told the 911 operative that her son is dead 3 times. She said someone has just killed her son. When the first respondents arrived, they found the mother and her sister outside. When they entered the house, they found 2 men in the living room who riddled with bullets. The first respondents said they are going to need homicide to respond to the case. The victim found on the couch is 37 years old Nelson Bedgood, known as Ray. He was born and raised in Mobile. He was the founder and chief executive officer of a local van production company. Ray leaves behind his wife and 3 daughters. Ray was shot 6 times, 3 times in the head and once in the shoulder, chest, and arm. The second victim is 41 years old guy known as Blue, was also born and raised in Mobile and recently quit his job as a cook in a local restaurant to start a landscaping business. Blue leaves behind 4 children, his mother, and 2 sisters. Blue was shot 5 times, 3 times in the head, once in the arm, and once in the back. Detective Jeremy asked CPL Nick Crepeau whether they have talked to any of the neighbors. The officer said one of the neighbors he interviewed said they heard several gunshots around 8:45 p.m., which was exactly 10 minutes before the 911 call. He said the neighbor thinks it was 2 different guns just by the sound. Detective Jeremy asked one of the officers if she thinks the deceased returned fire. The officer said she doesn't think so. The team collects a phone found next to Ray's body. They also found a small piece of cracked cocaine in Ray's front pocket and bloodstains in the kitchen. One of the officers said it's obvious that the deceased have been cooking crack. CPL Jermaine Rogers knows Blue from growing up in the neighborhood. He said Blue served 8 years sentence for intention to distribute cracked cocaine. He said Blue was released 4 years ago. Detective Begg spoke to Blue's mom and sister who discovered the bodies. Detective Begg said he knew she has gone through a lot. She said she doesn't know why they did her baby like that. Detective Begg said he doesn't know where to start. He said he wants her to tell him what brought her to the victim's apartment at that time of the day. She said she has been calling and he didn't answer the phone. Detective Begg asked if that was why she came. She said she is his mother. She said he answers the phone anytime she calls him. Detective Begg asked her what time she called him. She said she called him around 8:45 p.m. and he didn't answer. She said she then decided to come and see what was going down herself. She said when she arrived, the door was opened. She said she went in and she sat on the sofa trying to shake her son. She said she was telling him to get up. She said she said it twice and she did not see any reaction. She said after that, she saw him in a pool of blood and she started yelling that someone should call the police. Detective Begg asked her whether she knows anybody in the neighborhood that her son might have a beef with anyone. She said yes. She said she is not saying that the person did it, but her son has been having a feud with him. She said he has been threatening her son for a while. Detective Begg asked Blue's mother if she knew the cause of the feud. She said she doesn't know, but it's a long history. She said she doesn't know who did this, but she hopes they are caught and punished. Detective Begg appreciated Blue's mom. He said if she hears anything, she should call him immediately. 2 hours in, one of Blue's relatives comes forward. Detective Begg asked him what was going open. He said one of his good friends said he heard from someone that a girl came to the house with some guys from California. He said he just wanted to let the detectives know about that. He gave Detective Begg the name of the woman that was seen in the house moments before the murder. He said the girl was kind of spook. He said she was just telling him that she was in there when it went down. Detective Begg asked the relative if he knows whether Ray and Blue have any beef with anyone. The relative said he doesn't know if Ray has any beef with someone. Detective Begg asked him about Blue. He said Blue was into something. He mentioned the same man that Blue's mother said was feuding with her son. He said he laid up over there, laid up in the bed. He said that man is out of town recovering from an earlier shooting. Detective Begg asked Blue's relative when the man was shot. He said he was shot about a month ago. Detective Begg asked who shot the man. He said he doesn't know. Detective Begg said he appreciates him and he walked away from him. The team watched how the bodies of the deceased were evacuated before they went back to headquarters. When they got to the headquarters, Detective Begg searched Ray's phone hoping to find the number for the woman who was at the house before the murder. With little to go on, the team decided to reach out to the woman. When she answered the phone, Detective Jeremy introduced himself. He asked the woman if there is any way she can come down to their headquarters. She agreed to come. A few hours later, the woman was at the headquarters. As soon as she arrived, she was taken into a room for questioning. Detective Jeremy and another detective went into the room to interrogate the woman. Detective Jeremy told the woman they just wanted to talk to her and see what's going on. Detective Jeremy asked the woman to tell them what happened. She said she knows Blue and Ray very well. She said that was where they all meet and hang out. Detective Jeremy asked the woman that when was the last time she talked to any of them. She said a few hours before the shooting. She said she was at the house watching a playoff game. She said when she first got there, she met only Blue. She said a few minutes later, some dudes came. She said the dudes were from California. She said they walked in with a suitcase. She said Blue told the dudes to take the briefcase to the back of the kitchen. She said she knew that it was like a drug deal, but she didn't ask them any questions. Detective Jeremy asked the woman that who sold drugs between them. She said both of them sell drugs. Detective Jeremy asked the woman about the money that she think Blue and Ray have. She said she has never seen them with a lot of money or a lot of drugs, but she frequently hears it from them. She said they always talk about spending huge money on cocaine. Detective Jeremy asked the woman what did she think happened back there. She said the first thing that came to her mind was the dudes from California did it. She said the dudes were looking for Ray. She said Blue got on the phone and told Ray that the dudes have dropped the package. She said Ray said all right. He told Blue that he was on his way. She said a few minutes later, Ray pulled up and came into the house. She said he had a book bag. Detective Jeremy asked her what she thinks was in the book bag that Ray was carrying. She said she thinks it's weed. Detective Jeremy asked her for the weight. She said it's probably some pounds. She said she never looked inside the bag, but she knew he gave the other dude a pound of weed. She said a third man stopped by and Ray gave him some pound of weed. She said he was in a blue Honda truck. She said she know a lot of people in the area. She said it's weird that she hasn't seen the face of the dude in the Honda truck before. She said another dude was sitting right on the side of Blue. She gave Detective Jeremy the name of the dude that was watching the game with them. She said the dude was supposed to be cooking for them. She said the dude's job is all about the food, not drugs. Detective Jeremy asked the woman if she knows the name of the dude from California. She said she doesn't know their name and Ray and Blue never mentioned their name. She said they came in a white 4-door Kia truck-like SUV. She said the driver of the car was a girl. She said the girl never got out of the car for like 4 hours, that the dudes were with Ray and Blue. Detective Jeremy asked the woman if the dudes were white males. She said they were black males. He asked about the female too. The woman said she was black also. She said they were talking about going to New Orleans tonight because the game was today. She said they were like the city was going to have a lot of parties or whatever. Detective Jeremy and his colleague appreciated the woman and they left the interrogation room. They returned to their team members. Detective Jeremy told the team members that the woman provided a lot of insight into what the guys were doing over there. He said it sounded like everything happened because of drugs and the amount of money involved. He said it won't be out of place to say the dudes from California killed Ray and Blue. 11 hours in, Detective Jeremy got a lead from Cyber. A white car matching the description of the one used by the men from California was spotted on neighborhood surveillance cameras 5 hours before the murder. The next day, Detective Jeremy got the name of the woman who rented the white Kia to the dudes. She picked up the car from the airport a day before the murder. Detective Jeremy searched for her on Facebook. A few minutes into his search, he saw a video posted by the woman just 2 hours after the 911 call. Detective Jeremy said it would be a tight time for them to have committed the murder and be right back in the airport at that time. He said they knew the guys from California brought a suitcase full of drugs to the house and dropped it off on the day that Blue and Ray were killed. He said that the timeline rules out them from being the suspects in the murder case. Detective Jeremy said it's a little bit disappointing because when they feel they are making progress and it hits a wall, he said they have to start all over again and pursue another angle. While Detective Jeremy was checking out on the guys from California, the woman who was in the house before the murder reached out. She told Detective Jeremy that everybody in the neighborhood is saying that the guy that was driving the blue Honda was the one that did the shooting. She said the guy that drove the blue Honda was still at the house when everybody left. A witness found out the name of the man in the blue Honda. He has no prior convictions. His older brother, the alleged shooter, has prior convictions for possession of drugs and possession of a controlled substance. As the first 48 hours slip away, the team decides to wait to bring the man in the blue Honda and his brother. In the first 48, mobile homicide responded to the murder of Nelson Ray Bedgood and Blue Taylor. They heard from a witness that before the murder, 2 men from California arrived at the victim's house with a suitcase full of drugs. The witness heard rumors that Blue and Ray were been round for the drugs and shot by 2 brothers from the neighborhood, but decided to wait for more evidence before bringing them in for questioning. 17 days into the investigation and desperate to identify the brothers who were at the scene, the team finally reached the 4th man who was at the house before the shooting went down. As soon as he arrived at the headquarters, he was taken into an interrogation room for questioning. Detective Jeremy and another detective went in to question the witness. When he entered the investigation room, he identified himself. He told the witness to tell him everything that he remembers about the murder. He said he got to the house on Sunday when the game was on. He said Blue was on one couch while Ray was on another couch. He said the 2 men from California were there along with 2 other men that he didn't recognize watching the playoff game. He said he told them he wants to go and cook. He said he went home and started cooking. He said his wife told him to go and check on Blue because he just got shot. He said by the time he got to the terrace, he met policemen everywhere. Detective Julius asked him if he remembers the time he left there to go and cook. The witness said it was around 7:40 p.m. Detective Jeremy asked him if the guys were still there when he left. He said they were still there. Detective Jeremy asked the witness if he will able to identify the guys from California if he sees their picture. He said he will. Detective Jeremy showed him a photo lineup of the man in the blue Honda. The witness was able to pick him out. Detective Jeremy showed him another photo lineup. He picks him out along with his elder brother. Detective Jeremy and Detective Julius appreciated the witness for his time and they walked out of the investigation room. 2 days later, the man in the blue Honda told Detective Rogers that he wants to talk. He was brought to headquarters and immediately taken to an interrogation room. Detective Rogers and Detective Jeremy went into the investigation room to interrogate him. As soon as they entered the room, Detective Rogers told him to say what he wanted to talk about. He said 2 of his closest friends got killed. He said when he heard the news, he thought it was a lie. He said there is no way anybody could have snaked them like that unless it was somebody they knew and let them into the house. Detective Jeremy asked why he was at the house that day. He said he went there because he needed something from him. Detective Jeremy asked him what he needed from him. He said he needed 4 ounces. He said he went there specifically to buy marijuana from Ray. He said when he walked into the house, he collected the 4 ounces and put them in his pocket. He said he was smoking weed with the other dudes from California, and they were also watching the playoff game. He said he left after some time and came back. Detective Jeremy asked him why he came back. He said he went there to pick his brother. Detective Jeremy said why did he want to pick his brother? He said because his brother hasn't seen Ray in a minute. Detective Rogers asked him what was going on in the house when he went in. He said the same thing. He said he and his brother left the house about 2 hours before the murders. Detective Rogers asked him if every other person was there when he and his brother left. He said everybody was there. Detective Rogers told the suspect that he wants to be straightforward with him. He said they know that he didn't leave during the daytime as he claimed. He said they know he was there at night. The suspect said he was not there at night. Detective Rogers asked the suspect where he was when the murder happened. He said when his partner and the victims got killed, he was nowhere around there. He said he would have been dead if he was there because he was on drink and was already dozing out. He said he was fighting his sleep all day. He said he wouldn't have been there talking to them if he was there when the murder happened. He said God woke him up. He said God told him to go somewhere. Detective Julius asked him where he went to. He said he went to his grandma's house. Detective Julius looked the suspect in the eye and asked him who did the shooting. He asked the suspect who shot Ray and Blue. Detective Julius said he is getting fed up. He asked the suspect that who did the shooting between him and his brother. The suspect said if he had something to do with the shooting, he would have told them. Detective Julius told the suspect that if he wants the matter to go far, he is fine with it. He stood up and left the room in anger. Detective Julius joined his team members and they had a short discussion. At the end of the discussion, they decided to hold on to the suspect while they track his brother. Detective Julius put a call through to the brother. He told him that they want him at the headquarters for questioning. He said he will be right there because he has nothing to hide. 30 minutes later, he showed up at the headquarters. He was immediately taken into an interrogation room. Detective Julius and Detective Jeremy went in there to interrogate him while other team members watched from outside. As soon as they entered the investigation room, Detective Julius asked the suspect if he knew why they were there. He said he knows. He said it's because of Blue and Ray. Detective Julius told the suspect to take him through what happened that day. The suspect said his brother came to him that day and asked him if he wants a ride with him over there. He said they went to Terrace to see his partner, Blue, and Ray. He said they watched the playoff together. Detective Julius asked the suspect who was at the house when they got there. He said they met Blue, Ray, and two other dudes that he doesn't recognize. He said there was also the man who left around 8 p.m. to cook dinner. He said there wasn't anything going on rather than watching all of them watching the game. He said a few minutes later, his brother came to him and told him that they should leave. Detective Julius asked the suspect what time they left. He asked it if it was dark. The witness said it was dark when they all left. Detective Julius asked the suspect who was there when they all left. He said to be honest, he thinks they were the last people to leave. Detective Julius asked him again whether they were the last people to leave. He said they were the last people to leave if he isn't mistaken. Detective Jeremy told the suspect that the issue they have is that what he is saying is different from what his brother is saying. Detective Julius told the suspect to explain to him how his brother got hold of his codeine. He said he doesn't. He said he couldn't tell them. He said he doesn't have the codeine, but his brother had it. He said if he knows the killer, he would tell them. Detective Jeremy and Detective Julius told the suspect to give them a second and they walked out of the investigation room. Detective Jeremy and Detective Julius joined other team members who were watching the interrogation on their screens. Detective Jeremy said he thinks the elder brother is more honest. Detective Jeremy worked on the case for 5 more months before he finally got a break. A man came forward claiming that the man Blue was feuding with was involved in the murder. He said the man was screaming in the hood like everyone that challenges him will end up like Blue and Ray. The man Blue was feuding with has prior convictions for receiving stolen property. He spent 5 years in prison after pleading guilty for drug possession with the intent to distribute. Detective Jeremy said it is clear that hatred exists between the two. He said they gave to find the man, sit him down and see what they can get from him. 2 months later, with no sign of the man, Detective Jeremy left the homicide and ended off the case to Detective Rogers. After a 5-month search, officers finally tracked down the man Blue was feuding with and he was arrested on a warrant. Detective Rogers said he can't wait to interview the man and see what he can get from him. He said Detective Jeremy is not coming back, so he has to interview. Detective Rogers went into the interrogation room with another officer, while the rest of the team members watched the interrogation from their computers. As soon as Detective Rogers entered the investigation room, he told the suspect that he wants to know what happened in Terrace. The suspect said he doesn't know what is going on. He said he was at home recovering from gunshot wounds on the night that Blue and Ray were murdered. Detective Rogers told the suspect to tell him what happened before then. The suspect said Blue paid some boys $1,500 and a half ounce of powder to come and kill him. He said when he came out of his store, they started shooting at him. Detective Rogers asked the suspect why he was shot. He said he doesn't know. Detective Rogers told the suspect to take him through what happened on the day Ray and Blue were killed. The suspect said he was at home on his sofa smoking a blunt of weed that day. He said he was at home minding his business. He didn't go anywhere. Detective Rogers asked the suspect where his son was that day. He said his son was at his aunt's house in Pritchard. The suspect said he was happy it was all over. He said they shouldn't get him wrong because he was happy. He said he was happy because no more shooters are coming at him. He said he cared less what happened to them because they paid some folks to kill him. Detective Rogers asked the suspect that why does he think that people are saying he was involved in the murder of Blue and Ray. He said he thinks that when the feud got them, he told some folks that Blue had that dope and they came and got him. He said there hasn't been anything since then. He said that's the only thing he can think of. Detective Rogers asked him who he contacted to make it happen. He said he didn't contact anybody. He said he doesn't have friends. He said he prefers to be in custody because it's safer for him compared to the neighborhood. The suspect became angry and said he isn't talking anymore. He said they should take him to the metro. He said he is cool with that. Detective Rogers and his colleague walked out of the interrogation room and joined other members. The man Blue was feuding with was taken to jail on his unrelated warrant. Detective Rogers said he will check all his phone records. He said if he pulled that off, he will certainly make calls to some people. He said he will check his phone records and see if there is any link. Detective Rogers was unable to secure accurate phone records for the prepaid cell phones used by the man beefing with Blue. The man has not been charged with any crime concerning Blue and Ray's murders. 2 years later, the case remained unsolved. 11:32 a.m. on Valentine's Day in Gwinnett, a call came through for 911 operatives. An operative picked the call and asked for the address of the emergency of the caller. The caller said Hunter Ridge Lane, Norcross. The operator asked the caller what is going on at the address. The caller said they heard at least 6 shots. He said they walked outside and they saw a guy lying on the ground bleeding. The operator asked the caller if it appears like the victim is breathing. The caller said the victim was barely breathing. The operator told the caller that police and paramedics are already on their way. The caller told the operative that he is not sure how long the victim was going to survive. For homicide detectives, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they do not get a lead within the first 48 hours. CPL Patrick Dunning briefed team members. He said when the call came in, it sounded like 6 to 7 shots. He said their victim was unfortunately in a pretty rough shape. ENS rushed the victim to the hospital, but he didn't survive. CPL Patrick said anytime someone gets murdered in the middle of the day, it makes it seem like the person who was responsible does not care if anybody sees them. He said it leads him to think that it could personal. A 19-year-old veteran with Gwinnett County PD, Corporal Patrick Dunning, who joined homicide a year ago, will lead the investigation. When CPL Patrick got to the scene of the incident, he met other detectives who had gotten there before him. He asked one of the detectives if they have gotten the name of the victim. The detective said the name of the victim is Darien Dennis. 24 years old Darien Dennis attended Hutchinson Community College. He worked as a furniture mover and hoped to get a commercial driver's license. Near where Darien's body was found, detectives found 2 .40 caliber shell casings and a .40 caliber Glock. A detective said the gun was next to the victim's hand that was laid out flat. He said it seems like the gun was in his hand when he fell. Sergeant John Richter said he got off 2 rounds. He asked other members of the casings, but they could not find any casings they believe from the suspect's gun. Darien's mother and brother have learned of his death and arrive at the scene. Darien's brother told CPL Patrick that he was just at the house when someone called him and informed him. He said he ran up there with his mother after they got the information. CPL Patrick asked Darien's brother if he lives in the complex. He said they stay at the back. CPL Patrick asked Darien's brother if they had any racial issues with anyone. He said they have no issues with anyone. While CPL Patrick was having a chat with Darien's brother, Darian's father called. He asked to speak with CPL Patrick. CPL Patrick introduced himself to Darian's father. Darian's father asked CPL Patrick that if somebody was saying that his son got shot. CPL Patrick replied in the affirmative, hoping to get a lead about who would want him dead. Darian's father said Darien always carried a gun. He said Darien has a Georgia state permit for concealed carry and owned a Glock. He said Darien left their apartment to go to a convenience store across the street. Corporal Harrison went over there with the hope that he could get anything on video that will show Darien at the store before the incident happened. He said the owner of the store has it on his phone and he was not there. Sergeant Micah Hegwood said the plan was to have the owner download that block of time. 2 hours in, a man who was hanging out by the store came forward. He said he heard a gunshot. Then after 30 seconds, he saw a Toyota car leaving the complex. He said the Toyota is a 4-door, cream-colored car with 2 holes in the driver's side. He said the car made a right turn. He said they were going slow, watching that nobody was coming. He said all he saw were 2 black males. CPL Brian Dormany asked if anyone saw a cream-color 4-door Toyota similar to a Camry slowly exiting the entrance to the apartment complex, but no one replied. A detective said the description the witness gave matches the evidence that the victim squeezed off 2 rounds. A license plate reader near the complex captured a car matching the suspect's vehicle moments before the 911 call. CPL Patrick told team members that they have a tag. The next job is to see if they can track it. CPL Patrick ran a tag number to see if it has been caught on other license plate readers since leaving the area. His search revealed that the car was the last hit in Cobb County off Bentley Road at 148. The car was just photographed 17 miles away. Corporal James Lawson tracked down the vehicle owner's address. It's registered to a woman 25 miles away in the same direction the car was heading. CPL Brian said they should go and talk to the owner and find out who got in the car and where the car is. The team left the scene and headed to the address of the owner. While they were driving, CPL Patrick said they are hopeful that they can at least put their eyes on the car. But if they don't see the vehicle, they will at least have to track down the owner. When they got to the address, they found a Toyota at the side of the building that matched what they were looking for. It had bullet holes. CPL Patrick told the driver to pull over and stay very close to the apartment. He told the driver to stay in a position where they will have to drive past them to leave the complex. Corporal Brian Dominy and John Richter will keep their eyes on the Camry while Corporal Patrick and Corporal Lawson will cob the police headquarters to get a search warrant. Before they arrive, the suspect's vehicle left the complex and police stopped in a restaurant parking lot. Policemen told the driver to step out of the vehicle slowly. They told him to walk slowly towards the sound of their voice. The woman they apprehended is the owner of the suspect's vehicle. While officers took the woman to Cobb County PD for questioning, Corporal Richter and the team searched her apartment. When they arrived at the headquarters, she was taken into an interrogation room for questioning. Corporal Patrick Dunning and Corporal Lawson entered the room to interrogate her after she settled. Corporal Patrick Dunning introduced himself and his colleague. He told her that they are with the Gwinnett County Police. He told her that he was playing catch-up trying to figure out who she was and she was doing there today. She said she drove her car home this morning after spending the night at a friend's house. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her if she was currently living with someone. She said she lives with a friend of her ex-boyfriend. He asked her the name of the friend. She said his name is Quentin Lawton. He asked her how old Quentin was. She said Quentin should be 30 years old. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her where Quentin was when she came back around 8 a.m. She said she went to her room. She said Quentin might have been there, but she was not sure because she didn't see him. She said around 10 a.m., her friend picked her up to go shopping. She said they went to the store to get some outfits because they were going out. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her the actual time she got to her apartment in the evening. She said she got to her apartment around 6 p.m. and she got into her car and drove off. Corporal Patrick asked her if she noticed any damage to the vehicle when she was about to enter the vehicle. She said she was getting pulled over, so she got out of the car and she saw 2 holes that were taped on the driver's side. She said she started asking herself what was going on. Corporal Patrick asked her if Quentin drives. She said Quentin drives because he owns a BMW. Corporal Patrick told her that the reason why he was asking all those questions is that her car was involved in a shooting and the person that was shot died, so the case is a homicide investigation. He said she is more than welcome to start her explanation all over again. She said she believed that he may have done something. Corporal Patrick Dunning asked her what she was referring to. She said, Quentin. She said Quentin has a spare key that she kept in the kitchen. He asked her if Quentin could potentially have accessed her car. She said Quentin called her a lot today. She said it was after 11 a.m. that Quentin called her, and he was saying something happened, but he was reluctant to tell her what happened. She said she texted him and asked if he was good. He told her that he was cleaning. Corporal Patrick asked her that when Quentin told her that he was cleaning, didn't she ask him what he was cleaning? She said she didn't because she was focused on her own thing. She said she just told him okay. Corporal Patrick asked her if Quentin talked about being with anyone. She said he didn't tell her someone was with him, but she heard the voice of a 16-year-old guy. Corporal Patrick asked her if she knows the name of the guy. She was not able to give him the name, but she gave him the nickname of the teenager. Corporal Patrick asked her that if he wants to see Quentin right now, where would be the best place he can find him? She said she doesn't know. Corporal Patrick asked her if she doesn't have a problem with them looking through her phone. She said she doesn't have a problem with that. Corporal Patrick asked her if she knows whether Quentin was on social media. She said she has Quentin on Instagram. She gave them Quentin's name on Instagram and that of his teenager's friend. Corporal Patrick went through the phone and he was able to find the teenager's number. He told her that he saw evidence of phone calls. He said they will take her phone for a minimum of a night. He stood up and appreciated her cooperation before leaving the interrogation room with his colleague. While they were walking to their seats, Corporal Patrick told Corporal Lawson that they have 2 people of strong interest at the moment. He said, for now, both of them are the 2 main suspects. When they eventually joined other team members, they met the detectives who went to search the apartment. The detectives said they didn't find anything in the apartment. 30-year-old Quentin Lawton has prior convictions for robbery with a firearm and armed false imprisonment in Broward County, Florida. Detectives used the teenager's phone number to track down his name. They were also able to get the license plate on the BMW car Quentin drove on the day of the incident. Corporal Patrick said there is a chance that Quentin could flee the jurisdiction of the state. He said he will put together search warrants for Darien's, Quentin's, and the teenager's phone records. He said he feels that there is a connection. He said hopefully the phone records will show that there is a connection between the suspects and the victim, and they will be able to put those suspects at the scene of the crime at the time of the homicide. The next morning, as they wait for the phone records, a video from the convenience store near the crime scene came in. The video revealed that 5 minutes before Darien's murder, he came outside of the store and was going through his phone. It was not clear whether he was texting or making a phone call or listening to music. It was like he was supposed to meet someone at the store. A few minutes later, he walked off away from the building and headed towards his apartment complex. A tan car moved out of the building as soon as Darien moved out. The detectives identified the car as the suspect's vehicle. Corporal Harrison said it was almost like the car moved when it spotted Darien. The car pulled on a Peachtree Corners circle, turned right, and pulled left into the apartment complex. The video showed Darien walking into the apartment complex a minute before the shooting. That afternoon, detectives decided to search the suspect's vehicle. After the search, detectives believed that the shot was fired by the driver. They agreed to test all the evidence for fingerprints and DNA. With little else to go on, Detective Patrick looked through Darien's Instagram page with the hope that he can see any connections between him and Quentin or the teenager. He saw a picture of Darien standing in front of his old school teammates. He also saw a video of Darien rapping at an event, but everything he saw did not reveal any connection between Darien, Quentin, and the teenager. In the first 48, Gwinnett County Homicide responded to the murder of 24-year-old Darien Dennis. They spoke to a witness who saw a beige Toyota Camry leaving the scene with bullet holes in the driver's side door. They interviewed the owner of the Camry, who said that a man named Quentin Lawton had access to her car on the day of the incident. They also discovered a video of the Camry and Darien at the crime scene moments before the shooting. 5 days after Darien was murdered, Corporal Patrick said there has been a delay in the return on the cell phone records. He said that unfortunately, they are to the mercy of the cell phone companies. He said the longer the delay, the more time the two suspects are out there. He said it is a very dangerous situation. A few days later, Corporal Patrick got a cell phone dump on a registered owner of the vehicle that the suspect was driving. Their FaceTime message was at 11:55. 13 minutes after the murder, Quentin FaceTimed the woman who owns the suspect's vehicle. Corporal Patrick looked at the internet search history of the owner of the vehicle. He found out that she searched for a body repairs shop near her at noon. At 2:30 in the afternoon, she researched Bath and Bay Works. She also researched Gwinnett County. She found the Gwinnett Police Department Twitter feed and she clicked on it. And the headline was "Police are investigating the murder of a man who was shot at Peachtree Corners." He said she knew about everything when she was first invited. She was feigning the surprise she had on her face. Corporal Patrick said their next goal is to have a conversation with her again and see what more information she can provide them. He said hopefully the conversation would lead them to obtain an arrest warrant for Quentin. A week later, she was invited back to headquarters. Corporal Patrick told her that he wanted to let her know about what was going on in the case. He told her that they have recovered physical evidence out of the car. He said he would like to rehash some things. He asked her if Quentin came to her physically when he wanted to go out in her car. She said he came to her physically. Corporal Patrick said she didn't tell him that back on the 14th. He asked her if Quentin told her where he was going with the car or what he wanted to use the car for. She said he didn't tell her. Corporal Patrick said, so Quentin does whatever he wants with her car, and then made a couple of phone calls to her. She said yes, but he was panicking and he said someone tried to rob him and they shot the CR. Corporal Patrick said what she was telling him now was different from what she told him when she was first invited. Corporal Patrick told her that they did a search warrant on her phone. He said that, at one point, she started searching for what happened. She said she did. He asked her how she knew where it happened. She said when they were getting ready to leave, they saw Quentin in her car. She said 4 hours before she was stopped by the police, his friend picked her up, and they ran into Quentin when he was trying to return her car. She said when she went to the car, Quentin told her he was at Peachtree Corners. Corporal Patrick said so she started googling Gwinnett County Peachtree Corners. He asked her what she saw. She said she saw that there was a homicide. He asked her if she asked Quentin who shot who and did Quentin give her an answer. He said he wants to know what Quentin said because there was more to this because she didn't tell him everything the first night. And she is still not telling him everything again. She said she has told him everything she knew. She said she has nothing to hide. Corporal Patrick said just to make sure that he is clear, Quentin told her that he was on Peachtree Corners Circle and somebody tried to rob him, and her car was shot up. She said yes. She said Quentin told her that his teenage friend was in the car. Corporal Patrick asked her where she thinks Quentin will be. She said Quentin might be staying with a female friend. He asked her if she knows the address. She told him that the address is on her phone. Corporal Patrick went through the phone and found the female friend's contact information. He told her that he needs to get back to work, and he left the interrogation room. When Corporal Patrick joined his teammates, he told them that he still thinks that she is holding back. But the big takeaway from the interrogation was that she gave him a story that Quentin told her. He said Quentin concocted the story that he got robbed and that her car got shot up. He said obviously, the physical evidence does not necessarily match. He said they believe that the damage to the vehicle came from gunshots that were fired from inside the car. He said the next steps are to reach out to Quentin, then the teenager, and see if they are willing to provide any kind of statement as to about where they were and what they were doing on the day of the incident. 24 days in, with still no phone records on Darien or the suspect, Corporal Patrick reached out to Quentin, but he did not respond. He said he thinks Quentin was not going to call back. Detective Harrison said Quentin might talk to Corporal Patrick, but the only way he was going to get him there is with an arrest warrant. The next morning, Corporal Patrick and Detective Casey decided to run by the address of Quentin's female friend to see if he was still in the area. They drove for several minutes around the area, but they didn't see anyone. A few moments later, a call came into Corporal Patrick's phone. He was told that Quentin's attorney has reached out to homicide. He said the attorney relayed that Quentin wasn't the shooter, but he knows the shooter. Corporal Patrick said Quentin's attorney was trying to lay down some sort of self-defense claim. He said he was going to reach out to the attorney because he is curious to know the connection between the victim and them. 2 days later, Corporal Patrick gets Quentin's story from his attorney. He was able to confirm that Quentin was involved in the incident. The attorney said the story Quentin told him was that he was driving the juvenile over the Peachtree corner to go see his girlfriend. It was Valentine's Day, so he had flowers and other stuff. They claimed that they got lost and flagged the victim to ask him for directions. The victim started freaking out on them, and he hot agitated very fast. He immediately pulled out a gun and gunshots were exchanged. Quentin is claiming that he wasn't the shooter. Corporal Patrick said it looks to him like the driver was holding the gun. He said Quentin's story just doesn't make sense to him. He said it looked to him that Quentin was prepared for more than a date. He said if they could set up a time for Quentin to come in for a formal interview, they could get more from him. They reached out to the attorney and he agreed to bring Quentin to homicide for a formal interview in 4 days. Corporal Patrick told his team members that he will allow Quentin to tell his story. Then, he will start to pick holes in it and show him that the evidence appears to show that the gun was fired by somebody from the driver's seat. He said if Quentin tells a story that puts the gun and the actual murder in the lap of the teenager. In the meantime, Corporal Patrick will try to track down the teenager with the hope that the teenager will try to clear his name. The next day, Corporal Patrick reached out to the teenager and spoke to his mother. He said he let her know that if her son had anything to do with this, now would be the best time for him to get out in front of it and make a statement. The mother planned to bring the teenager to tell his story once they retain an attorney. 29 days and while waiting for Darien's and the suspect's phone records, the team prepares to meet with Quentin face to face. As the deadline passes, Quentin's attorney called Detective Patrick and asked him to meet him in the parking lot. When Patrick got to the parking lot, he met only Quentin's attorney. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that he was under the impression that Quentin was going to show up at homicide by 5 p.m. and give them his side of the story. Quentin's attorney told Corporal Patrick that he is not playing cat and mouse with him. Corporal Patrick said it has been a month now, and he has not been able to produce Quentin. The attorney said he knows. He said he feels like he has got some good stuff for him to share. He said he vetted Quentin, and he believed him. He said Quentin has answers. According to the attorney, Quentin doesn't know Darien. He said Quentin is adamant. He said Quentin told him that he has no clue about who Darien was, and his only mistake was leaving the scene of the incident. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that what they have an issue with is if everything that happened was random. why Quentin didn't stick around. The attorney said Quentin didn't stick around because he went to prison. So, Quentin is like every other black kid in the country. He is scared of the police. Corporal Patrick told the attorney that the ball is his guy's court. He said he appreciates everything the attorney has said to him, but he will rather hear the words coming out from Quentin's mouth. He told the attorney to give him a call back. Detectives decided it was time they made their move. They submitted an arrest warrant to the DA based on the circumstantial evidence they had on Quentin. The next morning, Corporal Patrick sent the fugitive warrant unit to stake out the home of Quentin's female friend. Corporal Patrick himself went to Darien's family to give them an update about their investigation. He told them that there are 2 individuals that they are looking at. He said he has secured an arrest warrant for 1 individual. Quentin's father said the family has been thinking of having a resolution to the case. He said part of the reason why his son is not alive was that someone did not have a spirit of forgiveness. He said he is ready to see the person and see what the person's explanation is for why the incident happened. Corporal Patrick told him that they are trying to do everything to help the family. Quentin's father gave Corporal Patrick a portrait of his son as a gift. They both greeted each other and Corporal Patrick left. Then, the fugitive warrants unit called Detective Patrick and informed him that they have arrested Quentin at his female friend's apartment. They said he did not want to speak with detectives at the time of his arrest, but he has been transported to Gwinnett County Jail. Corporal Patrick said they still have 1 outstanding. He said hopefully if they can pull up the cell phone that belongs to the second suspect at the scene, they can go ahead and secure an arrest warrant for him. After 2 months, Detective Patrick finally got the phone records for Darien, Quentin, and the teenager. The phone records revealed that there were no phone calls between Darien, Quentin, and the teenager, but the phone records for Quentin showed that right at 11:30, Quentin's phone pings off the nearest tower. He said that was the digital evidence that they were looking for. The phone records of the teenager revealed that between 10 a.m. and 10:45 a.m., the cell phone was pinging off the tower in Marietta. He said they didn't get additional pings because the phone was not in Gwinnett County and it wasn't in use. He said that does not exclude him from their suspects list. He said it's going to go for trial, and they will see where it takes them to. He said there will be a backstory that Quentin is going to tell. He said maybe when that happens, they will be able to turn the page. Quentin Lawton's prints were later found on the roll of tape in the suspect's vehicle. He was charged with aggravated assault and felony murder. He is awaiting trial. The teenager has not been charged with any crime concerning the murder of Darien Dennis. 3:58 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma at an apartment complex on the north side. A woman called 911 and reported that 2 people were shot in her apartment. When police and EMS arrived, they found a young man who has been shot outside the yard and rushed him to the ER. But when they entered the apartment, they found Darius Kirkland in a back bedroom dead. 8 years veteran homicide, Detective John will lead the investigation. When he arrived at the scene of the incident, he interrogated other officers who got there before him. He asked a detective that what they have. The detective said it was an apartment bleep, and the name of the guy that they found dead is Darien Kirkland. 23 years old Darius Kirkland was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but raised in Claremore, Oklahoma, and Tulsa. He dreamt of becoming a gospel rapper and once tried out for an American Idol. Darien Kirkland left behind his father, 5 siblings, and a young son. A detective told Detective John that the other person that was shot in the arm is a 21-year-old boy called Isaiah Anderson. He told him that Isaiah has a graze wound to his left arm and shot at his right. He told him that he has been taken to the hospital and he is in a stable condition. Detective John asked the detective if they have been able to get Isaiah to speak. The detective said because he was heavily medicated, they were unable to get him to talk. Darien Kirkland had a single gunshot wound to his back. Near his body, detectives found 6 9mm shell casings. They found a bullet hole right through the mirror. They found a bullet hole in the bedroom closet and a puddle of blood on the floor. A detective said it could be from the dude that got shot. Detective John said there is a real strong chance that both of them shot at one another. Detective John said he wants to know where the gun is. He said he wants to know where the round from his back came from. In the hallway, detectives found another 9mm shell casing. Detective John addressed other team members when he came out of the apartment. He said right now they have one deceased male that is located in the bedroom on the floor shot. He said they have another guy in the closet that appears to be shot and survived. He said the next step is to get his side of the story and see what he can add to what they already have. While Detective John was about to end his talk, a detective told him that there is a girl who is on lease and it's her apartment with her mother. He said the mother is not there, but she is there with a dolly's nears. She told the officers that they were inside when the shooting happened. Detective John asked who she was. The detective who informed him about her arrival said she is the girlfriend of Isaiah. Detective John said they need to get them downtown. He thinks they can get more to the story from them. They all entered the vehicle and drove to homicide headquarters. As soon as they arrived at headquarters, the 911 caller was taken into a room for interrogation. Detectives head in to interview her. When they entered, Detective Brown introduced himself along with his colleague Detective White. Detective Brown asks her about her age. She said she is 18. Detective Brown told her that there is an individual that lives in her apartment, but he is now deceased. He asked her if she has heard. She said his name is Darius Kirkland. He asked her who Darius Kirkland is to her. She said he was a close friend. Detective Brown told her that they are trying to find out how it happened that he was found dead in her apartment. She said she will explain how it started. She said her friend Adali's had her little boyfriend, the one that got shot in the arm. She said before all of this happened, Isaiah had gone outside with all of them, with whoever he was out there with. She says shortly before the shooting, Isaiah, the surviving victim, went out to the parking lot with Kirkland and some other men from the complex. He said they were all talking about robbing her boyfriend. Detective Brown said who the them she is referring to is. She said Darien Kirkland. She said she doesn't know the names of others. She just knows their faces. She said she told them no. She said she came in and told Adali's that they were trying to rob him. Detective Brown said asked her if she overheard it and told Isaiah that they were going to rob him. She said yes. She said Adali's called in Isaiah and told him to come inside. She said Darius came and juiced out and was just tripping. Detective Brown asked her what Darius was saying. She said he was in there talking about how he was going to rob her friend, and the guy was there saying he doesn't have anything. She said Darius was pointing a gun at him. She said that was when her friend Adali's jumped in front of Isaiah, and she was like, if he was going to shoot him, then he has to shoot her too. She said she kept saying to Darien that what he was doing. She said she told him to just get out and go. She said she was trying to push the gun away from him, but he kept putting it in his pocket and bringing it out back. She said they ended up getting Darien Kirkland into the living room. She said he was in her back room with her door closed. She said they were all trying to keep him from going back there, but he bum rushed back there. She said they were all holding him, trying to get him back, and then he closed the door. Detective Brown asked her who was inside the bedroom. She said it was Darien Kirkland and Isaiah. She said she and Adali's were trying to push the door open. She said the door was unlocked, but he was pushing on the door so they couldn't get it open. She said when she barely got it open, all she heard was boom, boom, boom. She said all she heard were shots. She said Adali's went there to grab her boyfriend to make sure he was fine. She said he was hiding in the closet. She said she got over to get on Darien and she met him lying on the ground and he couldn't breathe. She said he was gasping for air. Detective Brown asked her what happened after that. Detective White said 2 people were in the room and both of them got shot. He said did Isaiah defend himself or what happened? She said she cannot blame anyone because she doesn't know what happened. Detective White asked her who took the gun. She said she doesn't have an idea. Detective White asked her if there was anything she could add to clear this up a little bit. She said she wished she could. The officer who drove the 911 caller from the scene says she may have left something out about Adali's. He said she told him that if people tell the truth and the evidence, they will go to jail. Detective John thanked the detective for informing him. Detective John immediately returned to the interrogation room where Adali's was been held. He said he wants to ask her something real quick. He said when she was been transported to homicide headquarters, she said something about telling the truth. He said the statement she made that if people tell the truth and the evidence, she will go to jail. What does that mean? He said he wants her to be honest with him. She said she doesn't want to do it. Detective John said it doesn't matter at this time because she has to tell the truth. She said she doesn't know where the guns are, but she is sure that Adali's shot Darien Kirkland. Detective John asked him if she saw Adali's shoot Darien. She said she didn't see her shot, but she saw her with a gun. Detective John said he wants her to describe that statement clearly because it is a big deal. She said they were trying to kick the door, and Adali shot through the door. Detective John asked her where Adali's arm was when she shot. She said she doesn't know. She said it could have been like cracked or something. She said it wasn't all that way open because she didn't see him hit the ground. Detective asked her why Adali's shot Darien. She said Adali's shot Darien because he was trying to rob her boyfriend. Detective John asked her the type of gun Adali's had. She said she doesn't know. She said what she knows is that Adali's killed Darien Kirkland. Detective John left the interrogation room and joined his team members. He explained to them what Adali's told him. A detective said if all she said is true, and that was what happened, and if the victim pulled out a gun and was pointing at people and was acting stupid, they might have a justifiable shooting. A few minutes later, Detective Brown got a phone call from crime scene detective Kyle Aronowitz, who was still processing the scene. Kyle Aronowitz told Detective John that they measured the bullet trajectory. He said everything was at an upward angle. He said it all went up through and up the closet. He said the guy was shooting from the ground up. He said he was down on the ground when he was shooting at the dude in the closet. Detective John said identified Darien was on the ground when he was shooting, which means he was probably shot at first by Adali's. He said it means that there is more to the story. He told his team members that he will return to the interrogation room and see what Adali's has to say. When he entered, the first question he asked her was her age. She said she is 20 years old. Detective John called Adali's by her surname, which is Nears, and he said they are trying to unravel what happened. Adali's said she is interested in knowing what happened too. Detective John said she was there but they weren't there. She said all she knows is that Darien Kirkland showed up on some type of PCP and cracked drugs. She said she doesn't know what he was on, but he was pointing guns at everyone including her. She said he cocked it and pointed it at Isaiah, and she jumped in front of him. She said she told him to chill out and he told her he will shoot her too. She said Darien and Darius ran back with him and shut the door. She said that was where her foot hurt because they were trying to collect the gun from him. She said the next thing she heard was pop, pop. She said she thought Isaiah was dead, but he wasn't. She said she checked his pulse and he was still alive, so she tried pulling him out. She said she forgot who called 911 and that's all she knows. Detective John said they do not dispute that her boyfriend was trying to get shot by Darien Kirkland. He said what they are trying to figure out is how Darien Kirkland got shot and killed. He said just because it's been said that people believed that Darien Kirkland was trying to rob Isaiah. Adali's interjected and said he was. Detective John said that is what she hasn't talked about. Adali's said she missed that part. She said what happened was that Darien came in and pointed a gun at her, and he said you told him I'm trying to rob him. And she said yes she did. Detective John asked her what the gun looked like. She said she knows nothing about guns, but it looked like a handgun. She said she called Darien and told him to think about his son. She said she kept persuading him, but she didn't know what he was on. She said it was like Darien wanted to kill someone he doesn't know from Adam and Eve. Detective John asked Adalis if she has shot a gun in the last 8 hours. She said she shot her friend's gun earlier in the day. Detective John said she shot Darien Kirkland because she was trying to protect her boyfriend. She said she didn't because she doesn't have a gun. Detective John said they know Darien Kirkland was acting stupid. Adalis interjected and said he was. Detective John said people have complicated the whole thing by taking a gun from that room. Adalis said whoever took the gun might be the one who did it. Detective John said they are running out of people that could have done it, and that was why she was there. She said she didn't shoot anyone. She said she couldn't have shot a gun. Detective John interjected and said she told them not long ago that she shot a gun that night. He told her that no one is going home until he finds that gun because someone is not telling him the truth. Adalis said she told him the truth, and that is what she knows. Detective John asked Adalis if she has a vehicle that is out there. She said she did. He asked her what type of vehicle. She said it is a red Mazda Tribute. Detective John asked her if she has an issue with them searching the car. Adalis hesitated. She didn't talk. Detective John said if she has moved the gun, she should tell him because he doesn't care. She said she didn't move any gun. Detective John asked her if there was a gun in her car. She said there is no gun in her car. She said she didn't take any gun. It was the dude that was there that took the gun. She said she saw him picking it off his chest. Detective John asked her who is the dude she was referring to. She said she doesn't know his name. Adalis claimed that the 911 caller's boyfriend was there and that he took Darien Kirkland's gun after the shooting. Detective John said, so the dude just came into her apartment, picked the gun off the dead guy, and walked out. Adalis said he was there the whole night. She said there were 2 guns in that house. She said he took both of them. Detective John asked her whether both of them were in the bedroom. Adalis said they were. Detective John asked her why she didn't say that long ago. She said it was because they were all questioning her as if she is a suspect. Detective John said there is a dead guy, therefore everybody is a suspect. He told her that he has a feeling that she is still holding back. He presented a warrant to her and asked her to append her signature to it. He told her that the warrant gives them the power to search her car back at the complex. She signed the warrant, and Detective John made his way out of the interrogation room. When he joined his team members, a detective said something going wrong there. He said they were lying for a reason because if the guy is robbing and shooting him up, then she has no reason to lie. While Detective Max Ryden headed back to the apartment complex to search Adalis' car, Detective Brown and Detective White headed out to speak to Isaiah, the surviving victim. A half hour later, Detective Brown said he just talked to Isaiah. Isaiah said Mr. Kirkland pulled out the gun and had serious intent of firing the gun. Isaiah said he was in the closet when he heard about 4 to 5 shots. He got hit once in the arm and grazed a shoulder. He said after that, the shooting stopped. He said he believed that it was the opportunity he needed to run out the door. He said when he did, the guy was on the ground there in the bedroom. He said he never had a gun, and he never fought with the guy over the gun. While they were driving back to homicide, Detective Max Ryden called Detective Brown on the phone. He told that he searched the Mazda Tribute thoroughly, but he found nothing on it. He said while he was searching, a woman at the complex approached him. He said the woman told him that the guy has the gun is there in the complex. The woman said after the shooting, she spoke to the boyfriend of the 911 caller, the man who allegedly took the guns. The woman said the guy has been walking around the complex apartment telling everybody that he has the guns, and he was present when the incident happened. He also said Adalis and the guy that was missing called the dead guy to go and rob the guy that is in the hospital. He said that according to the woman, Darien Kirkland, Adalis, the 911 caller, and her boyfriend were all in the plan to rob Adalis' boyfriend Isaiah. She said the dead guy got a gun and came back. They didn't realize that he was going to have a gun during the robbery. It went bad because the dead guy was on PCP and he had a gun. So then, Adalis shot him. Detective Max Ryden told Detective John that it sounded like Adalis wanted her boyfriend to get robbed, but she had to stop him because she didn't know Darien was going to bring a gun to the robbery. He said the plan was to rob her boyfriend, and it went bad. Adalis had to step in because she thought he was going to kill her boyfriend. He said the boy is telling people out there that Adalis shot first before Darien shot. He said it was 100% what crime detective Kyle said. He said all his shots were when he was on the ground. He said the woman told him that the guy that has the gun lives out there, but she doesn't know his exact apartment. Detective John asked Detective Ryden whether the woman gave him the guy's name. Ryden said she didn't. Detective Ryden said she told him that she can give him his Facebook name. He said she is on Facebook at the moment, therefore, he is waiting for her to give him the name. After Detective Brown got the information from Detective Ryden, he said he will interview the suspects again. He said he will interview the 911 caller first. When Detective Brown was going to the 911 caller's interrogation room, Adalis called him. She said she wants to talk. When he entered the room, he told Adalis that they have talked to some other people, and there is a bunch of stuff that they know since the last time they talked to her. He said she should just tell the truth. Detective Brown asked Adalis that what the part about the robbery is. She said that part. They had all off that skidded out without her. Detective Brown asked her that who are they. She immediately changed her story and gave detectives the name of the man that took the guns and now claimed that he, Darien, and Adalis planned to rob Isaiah. Detective Brown asked her if the guy was her friend or boyfriend. She said he is not her boyfriend. She said he is just a friend. While she was being interrogated, Detective Ryden forwarded the photo of the man who allegedly took the guns. Detective Brown showed her the picture Ryden sent to him, and she identified him as the man who took the guns. She said they were sneaking when they were doing all of that. She said she wasn't stupid because she knows her. She knows Darius Kirkland, and she knows that they are all thieves. Detective Brown asked her if that was the reason the guy came over. She said that was her intention. She said everybody she met, she knows Adalis and her intended to rob Isaiah, but she guessed he didn't have anything for her to show for her to rob. She said he left with Darien and he was like he was going to get a pack of bars or a pack of sizzles. She said when Darien and her friend realized that Isaiah didn't have anything to steal, they tried to sell drugs to him. She said that was when she walked outside, and they told her that they were about to tax Isaiah. Detective Brown asked her what she meant by taxing him. She said it means they were trying to overprice him, and then keep the money. She said that was when she came in and told Adalis that they are out trying to rob her boyfriend. She said that was when Adalis called Isaiah and told him to come inside. She said Darien came in juiced and he came into her house talking about how she was about to rob him. She said he was putting his gun in both Adalis and Isaiah's faces. She said that was in her bedroom. She said they were all trying to push Darius Kirkland back. She said it took the combination of all of them to push Darien through the hallway that was outside her room. She said she didn't know how he got through all of them and ran into the room. She said when he entered the room, he slammed the door. She said that was when she and Adalis ran back there. Detective Brown asked her if she knew where Adalis got the gun from. She said she thinks Adalis got the gun from her friend, the same man who allegedly took the guns from the scene. Detective Brown asked Adalis that did she have any involvement in setting the incident up. She said she had no involvement. Detective Brown Adalis that it's hard for him to believe that she was the one person out of the whole group that didn't know that something was going to happen. Adalis swore by God that she didn't know. Detective Brown said if that was the case, why didn't she tell them the truth from the beginning? She said it was because she didn't want Adalis to get into trouble. They left the 911 caller and went to where Adalis was being held. When they entered, Detective Brown said he heard that she was willing to talk to them. She replied in the affirmative. She said she wants to tell them the truth because she feels she won't be in trouble. She said the truth is that she had to do what she did. Detective Brown said they should get to where she did what she had to do. He said, "What is she talking about?" He said she has to tell them the story. She said the story is that Darien came into the house with a gun. She said he came in and he told Isaiah to give him all her stuff And then Isaiah was like he has nothing to give him. He said he got up in Isaiah's face. She said she thought he was going to shoot him. So she moved his hand, and she was like he was not going to shoot him unless he shoot her too. She said Isaiah ran out of the room, and Darien ran after him. Detective Brown said where Isaiah and Darien were in the bedroom. She said they were. She said she started telling Darien why he was acting like that and what he was on. She said she told him to think about his son. She said he got upset with her and started threatening her for bringing up his son. She said he cocked the gun back and was saying he was going to shoot her. She said he put the gun upon her head and it scared her a lot. She said she was trying to get into the door and the dude she was with had a gun too. She said the dude gave her the gun. Adali said the 911 callers friend her his gun and helped her push the door open. She said at that moment, you could tell that Darien was about to shoot. She said immediately he shot, she closed her eyes. She said she saw him pull the trigger and she shot too. Detective Brown said Darien has a bullet hole in the middle of his back. She said she doesn't understand it. She said she doesn't know where he got shot at because she was scared. Detective Brown said he wants to be sure that they didn't have some pre-planting of the whole situation. He said they heard that there was a plan to rob Isaiah. Adali said there was, but she didn't know about that. Detective Brown said they didn't hear that part. He said they heard that she was aware of it. She said she wasn't because she likes Isaiah. She said she has been crying because she cannot go and see him. Detective Brown asked Adali's whether she has an issue with them looking at her phone. She said what they meant. Detective Brown said, by looking at her phone, they can say with 100% surety that there's nothing in her phone that says anything about robbing Isaiah today. He said it is to her benefit. Adali said they can do it. Adali's later revoked her consent for her phone to be checked. It means Detective Brown will need a search warrant for her phone. When detectives left the room, Adali's began to punch the glasses in the interrogation room. She broke 2 of the glasses before Detective Brown was able to detect that there was a problem in the room. Detectives quickly rushed down to the room and handcuffed Adali's. They told her that Ems was on their way to check her hand. Adali's refused Ems treatment. Detective White said their next step is to get a warrant for Adali's phone to look for the evidence that she or anybody else was part of the robbery plot and see if they can find the gentleman that allegedly took the guns from the apartment to get his side of the story and see what he can add to the story they have. After searching for 3 months without a lead on the man who allegedly took the guns, detectives finally catch a break. The man who allegedly took the guns from the scene of Darius Kirkland's murder was charged with unrelated homicide. Detective White said she lawyered up, so the unfortunate part was that they never got the chance to ask him about the missing guns from Darien Kirkland's murder. He said those guns are still out there. He said they obtained a search warrant for Adali's phone. He said they got inside her phone and looked. She said that she doesn't have guns, touch guns, or know a thing about guns, or want to mess with them. He said they got a picture in her phone that says otherwise. Detective White that he will have to explain herself in court and tell them when those pictures were taken and how she doesn't play with guns anymore. Detective White said there was no other evidence to prove that anybody else was a participant in the robbery. He said currently, Adali's Nears is the only one being charged with the felony murder of Darien Kirkland. Adali's Nears pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter and was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. The guns were never recovered. "11:37 p.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A caller put a call through across to EMCA. As soon as the EMCA operator picked the call, he asked the caller about her emergency. The caller said her son has been shot. The operator asked the caller if her son has any serious bleeding. She replied in the affirmative. The operator told the caller to stay on the line because they already have an ambulance coming her way. Within a few minutes, the Tulsa police unit arrived at the house of the caller. They introduced themselves and the caller immediately let them in. She took them to where her son was lying. A detective asked her where the boy was shot at and she showed him. The detective noticed that the boy got 1 bullet to the chest and exit to the back. For homicide detectives, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they do not get a lead within the first 48 hours. Detective Jason White, who has been in the unit for more than 10.5 years, will lead the case, which is his 80th case. Detective Jason began his investigation immediately. He jumped into his car and headed to an area in the northwest part of the city in Osage County. He was told that the victim was shot in the driveway but managed to make it inside the house. The victim suffered gunshot wounds to the chest, arm, and leg. Doctors were unable to save him. He died of injuries. When Detective Jason White arrived at the scene of the incident, he asked Detective Ronnie Leatherman, who was among the first respondent to the incident, if they have any information. Detective Jason Leatherman said they have gotten the name of the victim. He said the name of the victim is Kim Hayes. 26 years old Kim Hayes was born and raised in Tulsa in a close-knit family. He worked for an industrial manufacturer and just celebrated his daughter's first birthday. Detective Ronnie Leatherman told Detective Jason White that they have gotten a search waiver signed by the mom. Detective Jason White asked him if the mom stays there. Detective Ronnie said the house belongs to the mom. He said the mom and the victim's girlfriend live there. The detective said they saw blood trails everywhere. They found a blood trail on the side of the car and down the garage. Detective Jason asked him where the victim was found. He said the victim was found in the house. Detective Jason himself joined the detectives in the on-site investigation. When they moved to the garage where the detectives told him they found blood trails, they found a .380 gun with bloodstains on it. Detective Jason said it might be the victim's gun. A detective said maybe. When they walked down out of the garage, they found 5 casings scattered across the driveway and into the street. They also noticed that all the cartridges of the casings were .380 seconds. Detective Jason White asked if the victim has a phone. The detective told him that the victim's phone is in the driveway. He told him that he has a password for the victim's phone. The password is slime. Detective Jason White said it's an interesting password. When they took a walk further down the house, they saw a pill bottle. The name on the pill bottle is Charles Boas and it's hydrocodone. Detective Ronnie said hydrocodone is an opioid pain medication that is commonly sold on the streets. Detective Ronnie said that according to the neighbors, there has been a lot of foot traffic and vehicle traffic from the house recently. He said it's probably drug-related. Detective Jason White said he is going to holler at the witness next door. He went to the neighbor and introduced himself. He asked the neighbor what he saw. The neighbor said he was about to go to bed. He heard some argument outside and he looked out through his window. He said he saw the victim and 2 other guys tussling on the driveway. Right at the end, he said he heard gunshots which took his heart rate and everything up to a different level. He said the guy that was standing over the victim unloaded like 5 or 6 rounds and pointed blank over the victim. Detective Jason White asked him what the victim did next. He said his wife thought she saw him get up and he think he was able to return fire. Detective Jason asked him what the guys looked like. He said they looked African American. They were tall. One was probably about 61. He said it wasn't the first time that he has heard people coming in and out. Detective Jason White asked him if there has a lot of traffic in that apartment. He said there has been a lot of traffic over the last year or so, but he thought since he had a baby, he has cleaned some things up. Detective White thanked the neighbor and went back to his team members. He told his team members that what he understood from what the neighbor said is that 2 guys were fighting, and the suspect was over the top of him. One of the suspects was shot into him multiple times. He said he calmed down or something after he had a baby. Detective Jason said the victim's mom and girlfriend will be taken downtown. He said he wants to talk to them and get their story as quickly as possible. When they arrived at the homicide headquarters, the victim's mom and his girlfriend were taken into different interrogation rooms. Detective Jason told Detective Ronnie that he thinks they should talk to the girlfriend first because she will probably have more information than the mom. When they entered the interrogation room where the victim's girlfriend was being kept, Detective Jason White introduced himself and introduced Detective Ronnie Leatherman. Detective Jason White said he is sorry that she is going through all of this. He said he wants her to shed some light and help him out on the murder. He said he wants her to tell him what happened tonight. The victim's girlfriend said it was like every other night. They had a night routine with their daughter. She said their daughter ate dinner at around 7:45 and they laid her down. She said when it was time to lay her down, they lay down together. She said as soon as their daughter daughter fell asleep, Kim hopped up and left the room because he was already texting someone while they were laying their daughter to sleep. She said Kim went straight to the garage and opened the garage door. She said she went to the bathroom to grab a cigarette and she went out because that is what she does. She said suddenly she heard loud noises. She said she knows what a gunshot sounds like. She said heard up to 9 gunshots. She said the gunshots came repeatedly. She said at that point she knew Kim was in trouble. She said she opened the door and Kim started yelling, "Get down! Get down." She said she heard the shots and all she saw Kim do was just dart to the threshold of the garage door and just over and over. She said that was when she noticed blood and Kim immediately turned around and looked at her. She said he was telling her to call the ambulance. She said blood was coming out of his mouth as he was coming down the stairs. She said she went and grabbed towels because his mom met them at the stairs. She said she grabbed a towel and she applied pressure on the wound. She said she placed his head on her lap and she kept hitting him as hard as she could. She said every time he closed his eyes, she kept telling him, "You're strong, you can do this. You're dumb, you've done this before." She said he was shot 3 times in the stomach last year. Detective Ronnie asked Kim's girlfriend what he was doing on his phone before he went to sleep. She said she asked Kim who he was texting and he told her it was his friend Charles. She said she told him that she has never heard that name before. She asked him who is Charles and she asked him what was going on. Kim said Charles was supposed to bring him some Roxys to sell. Detective Ronnie asked her what Roxys are. She said Roxys are OxyContin. She guessed. She said Roxys was one of the main things that Kim sells. Detective Jason asked her if Kim told her that Charles was coming with somebody else. She said he did not. She said when he was shot and his head was on her lap. She said she kept asking him Charles' last name. She said Kim kept trying to say something but she couldn't understand what it was. She said she kept asking him Charles who, and he said Charles Boras. She said now she knows his bows. Detective Jason asked her how she knew. She said she messaged a childhood friend of Kim. She said they went to school together when they were kids. She said they all went to Central together. She said Kim's friend told her that Charles Bose is an old friend from high school. She said she was trying to put it together in her head just because she is familiar with living a very bad lifestyle before she got pregnant. She said she changed her lifestyle around. She said Kim did too for the most part. She said right after they had their baby, she and Kim went from being close friends to being lovers. She said Kim gave her a promise ring before their baby turned a year old. She said they were on their way to getting to know their place. Detective John commended her for being extremely strong because she has helped them with her statement. Detective Jason White turns to Kim's mother. He asked her what happened that night. She said she was downstairs watching Longmire. She said she just heard some rat-a-tat-tat bangs. She said the next thing she knew was they were coming in the front door and Kim was saying he has been shot. Detective Jason asked her if she heard Kim talk about who shot him. She said she did not. He was just in a lot of pain. Detective Jason asked her if she knows anything about what Kim has been doing or if he has a lot of people come over for various reasons. She said no because there is a lot she doesn't know. She said she doesn't know what her son has been involved in. But he promised her that he was not involved in anything. She said she is not saying he is innocent or not, but Kim was doing fine because he was working every day. Detective Jason asked her about her relationship with Kim's girlfriend. She said they are good. She said she was homeless when she picked her and brought her to her house. Detective Jason said she has to be strong for both Kim's girlfriend and her granddaughter. He said she will be living in her house temporarily. She said no problem. She said her focus is KH low. She wants to know when she can see him. Detective Jason said she cannot see him in the medical examiner's office. She can only see him in a funeral home. He said he cannot imagine what she is feeling right now, but his goal is for justice to be served. He said she should not hesitate if anything comes up. Using Kim's password, Sergeant Nathan Schilling scanned through his text messages leading up to the murder. He said the text message showed that Kim was bringing a pill bill. He had concerned about whether they were real or not. Kim said he has a baby now, so he isn't playing any game. He said he is a number guy and as long as the numbers stay straight, They are going to eat. The person that was coming to meet him replied to Kim that what did he mean because he is confused. The person said they are real and there is no press. Kim told him he wants to know when he is pulling up so that he can raise the garage door. Detective Jason asked Sergeant Nathan that what time did the text come in. Sergeant Nathan said it was around 10:51 p.m. He pulled up at 10:52, 10:53 bet. He said that was his last going. Detective Jason said that's the guy. Sergeant Nathan said the number the victim was having a back and forth with who was going to deliver pills checks to Charles Bowes. Detective Ronnie pulled up a picture of Charles when he was arrested last year. 27-year-old Charles Bowes is a local rap artist and has no prior felony murder convictions. Detective Jason said they know that Charles Bowes was there. His pill bottle was on the street. He said they have to build a case up. He said he wants to be able to arrest the cat. He said there was another guy that was him too. Detective Ronnie said they may have to watch a body cam. Detective Jason hopes body cam footages from first responders will turn up a lead. He said if the video shows the victim mentioning that name, he thinks they are good from that. Detective Ronnie finally got the officer's body camera video uploaded. He said they are going to watch it and see if the victim gives any more details about what happened. When they watched it, they saw where the victim mentioned the name of Charles Bowes. Detective Jason said it's a powerful piece of evidence. He said he thinks it falls under the category of dying declaration. Detective Ronnie said, with a dying declaration, the person who's dying will have to talk to them and tell them there is a good chance he was going to die. He will be asked if he understands what he was saying and the person will say yes, he is about to die. But this is the person who did it. Detective Ronnie said if it passes through those stages, then it can be used as evidence in court. He said hopefully they will be able to use it as a dying declaration. He said he doesn't think it is going to be an issue as far as getting Charles Bowes arrested. He said there was a pill bottle where the shooting happened that had his name. Also, he was the last person Kim was talking to. He thinks that they have plenty piece of evidence to get him. Detective Jason said they will put everything together the next morning, and they will submit it to the DA so that they can get an arrest warrant. Detective Ronnie said there is still the question of the second person when the shooting happened. He said just because Charles was there doesn't necessarily mean he was the shooter. He said it could be the other guy that they do not know about. 38 hours after Kim was murdered, Detective Jason said they have gotten the warrant signed for Charles Bowes. He said he has notified the Fugitive Warrants Unit to start the hunt for Charles Bowes. The team headed to several known addresses for Charles Bowes, but one after the other, they came up empty. In the first 48, Tulsa Homicide responded to the murder of Kim Hayes, who was gunned down in his mother's driveway. Detectives learned that an eyewitness saw two men struggling with Kim before one of them shot him. They discovered that Kim made a dying declaration naming Charles Bowes as one of the suspects, but they have been unable to track him down. 18 hours into the search for Charles Bowes, Detective Jason said the fugitive warrant guys said they have been setting up surveillance on the potential house where Charles Bowes may have been staying. They have set up surveillance in that location and apparently, they have followed him to another location. He said they have him spotted. He is presently sitting in a car. He said they are maintaining surveillance at the moment. The fugitive warrant finally arrested Charles. Detective Jason said whether he is the shooter or not, they will probably get to know. He said Charles doesn't seem like somebody that is a criminal type. Detective Jason said he wants to know who the second guy is, and he is hopeful that Charles Bowes will tell him. Nearly 3 days after Kim was murdered, Charles Bowes was brought to homicide. As soon as he entered homicide headquarters, he was taken into an interrogation room for questioning. Detective Jason White immediately moved to the room to interrogate Charles. When Detective Jason entered the room, Charles was lying on the floor. Detective Jason told Charles to sit up. Charles disagreed. He said he wants a lawyer. Detective Ronnie entered the investigation room and told Charles that they need his fingerprint and his DNA. Detective Jason told his team members that Charles said he wouldn't speak to them. Detective Ronnie said the witness who lived next door saw some sort of a physical altercation. He said if you look at Charles' hand, it was taped up. Detective Jason commended Detective Ronnie for good observation. and he told him he was going to photograph that. Detective Jason said Charles will have to be transported to Osage County. When the detectives that were going to transport Charles entered the interrogation room, they saw him doing something. The detectives asked Charles what he was doing. Charles said he was spelling something out. When he was taken out, detectives went to the room to see what Charles was spelling. They noticed that he spelled out innocent. Detective Jason White said the evidence they have does not support that right now. With no leads on the second suspect, detectives headed back to Kim's neighborhood with the hope that they will get someone in Kim's neighborhood that might have the surveillance video from the night that he was murdered. They looked at all the videos of the people in Kim's neighborhood, but they didn't get anything. 2 months go by without any leads, and then detectives got some welcome news. Detective Jason told his team members that they will go to Pawhuska to visit Charles Bowes. He said Charles' attorney reached out and indicated to them that Charles was willing to tell them the story. Detective Jason said he thinks Charles has seen that the case against him is incredibly strong, and he doesn't have much of a choice than to try to have a little self-preservation. Detective White and Detective Ronnie Leatherman headed to Pawhuska in Osage County where Charles Bowes has been held. When Detective Jason met Charles, he introduced himself, and he told Charles that his attorney reached out to him that he wanted to tell them the story about what happened. Charles claimed Kim put him in touch with a man who was going to buy his prescription drugs. Detective Jason asked Charles how he got played. Charles said he gave Kim some pills, and he gave him an envelope with some napkins in it. Detective Jason said, and he left before he realized that he has been screwed over. He said yes. Detective Jason asked him how much they were talking about that his buddy ended up taking him for. Charles said it was like $600 or $700. Charles said, so he hit Kim up to tell him who the dude was because he was going to beat him up for scamming him. He said Kim didn't want to give up the dude because he didn't want to be in the middle of it. Detective Jason told Charles that there is a lot of messages on Kim's phone between the both of them about pills. He said both of them were discussing a transaction. Charles said it wasn't a transaction. He said he told Kim that if he gets the dude over there and lets him get on one-on-one with the guy, he will let him have the pills. He said he told Kim that he set him up. He said he told Kim that they have known each other for a long time. He shouldn't have done what he did. He said after that, he punched Kim and they started fighting. He said he ended up slamming Kim on the ground. He said Kim had his arms locked into where he couldn't move his arm. Detective Jason said what happened after that. Charles said his cousin pulled him off Kim. When he pulled him off Kim got up and started reaching like he had something. He said then he heard shots go off and he took off running. Detective Jason asked Charles that who was his cousin, that kinfolk that came over there with him. Charles said his name is Lawrence. Detective Jason asked Charles if his cousin was worried after the incident happened. Charles said he knew he was worried because he knows he is not that type of dude. Charles said it was like some type of situation, but he hopes he didn't screw his cousin up. Detective Jason asked Charles if he knew that Kim died. Charles said he didn't know until 2 days later. Charles said he didn't know anything happened because Kim was popping back. Detective Jason thanked him and he left. Back at Homicide, Detective Jason told his team members that he thinks Charles was minimizing some of his involvement. He said he identified his cousin as Lawrence Mitchell. Detective Charles said he is going to pull up Lawrence Mitchell. 23 years old Lawrence Mitchell performed local gigs as a rapper. He has a previous conviction for possession of a firearm. Lawrence was arrested 4 months after the murder for failing to appear in court on an unrelated firearm charge. Detective Jason said they will try to talk to Lawrence. Lawrence was transported from Tulsa County Jail down to Homicide. Detective Jason said it took a lot of time to get the warrant issued for him because of COVID and other things. He said once that happened, they went down to the jail to go pick him up. He said he hopes that Lawrence will tell them what's up. Detective Jason and Detective Ronnie went into the interrogation room to have a chat with Lawrence. When they entered, Detective Jason told Lawrence that he knows his cousin and he has spoken to him. He said he just wants Lawrence to tell him what happened. Lawrence said he would never have left the room out of his house if Charles didn't call him. Detective Jason asked Lawrence that who was the person that called him. Lawrence said his big cousin Charles Bowes. He said he got a call from his cousin asking him if he can ride with him. He said Charles also asked him if he can bring the pistol. He said he asked Charles what he needed the pistol for. He said Charles said he just needs his help. He said he got into the car with Charles, and they went over there. He said he was in the car when he heard some altercation. Detective Ronnie asked Lawrence if he knew the background of the altercation. He said he just knew the altercation was over some pills. He said he thinks Charles owed Kim some money. Detective Jason asked Lawrence if Charles owed Kim some money or vice versa. Lawrence said vice versa. Lawrence said Kim took of Charles, telling Charles that he wasn't paying him. Lawrence said he was sitting in the car looking at them as they were fighting. He said he was like they will soon be done. Lawrence said the fight went on for like 7 minutes. He said he got out of the car and he told his cousin that they need to break that up. He said it was that time that the neighbors started coming outside. He said he told his cousin that they should get out of there. He said he told his cousin that he has a pistol on him and he doesn't want to get caught because he is already fighting a case. He said Charles let Kim go. As soon as he did that, he upped on him. He said he asked his cousin what he was doing. He said Charles told him that he was threatening with a pistol. He said Charles shot. He weaved. He shot again and he weaved. Then, he shot him. Detective Jason asked Lawrence how many times he shot. Lawrence said he doesn't know, but it was like 4 times. He said he already had mines out before Charles drew. He said when Charles drew the shot, that was when he emptied his. Detective Jason asked Lawrence if he ever spoke to Charles after that. He said Charles came the next day. Charles was like he can deal with it. He said he felt bad. It shouldn't have ended that way. Lawrence said he takes full responsibility. He said his cousin has a whole lot of family. He said he didn't have to talk to them, but he was just trying to get the heat off his cousin. Detective Ronnie told Lawrence that he has a lot of respect for him for stepping up to do the right thing. He said he wished Lawrence had done it in May. Lawrence told Detective Ronnie that he fell in love. He said he doesn't want her to know what's going on because he didn't want to put her in this situation. He said he was trying to bond out and get married because he didn't know what it feels like. He said now he has to tell her what's going on for real. Detective Jason appreciated Lawrence for being kind and left the interrogation room. Charles Bose was charged with first-degree murder and he is awaiting trial. Lawrence Mitchell was charged with first-degree murder and possession of a firearm. He is awaiting trial. The First 48 Hours, Season 22, Episode 3, A Beautiful Life. Story based on ND, public news reports, and police reports. 3:22 p.m. in Gwinnett County, a caller called 911. When a 911 operator answered the phone, he asked for the caller's emergency. The caller said he is calling because of his neighbor. He said his neighbor was shot. The operator asked the caller what happened. The caller said he heard multiple shots. He said he heard a lot of shots right now. He said his neighbor collapsed on his doorstep. The operator asked the caller if his neighbor is still breathing. The caller said he is still breathing. He said he is still alive. The operator asked the caller if any other person lived with his neighbor. He said Bob lived with his neighbor. The 911 operator told the caller that paramedics and policemen are already on their way. As police and paramedics respond, another caller called 911. He told the 911 operative that he is a Lyft driver. He said he dropped a young man off at his house and he heard gunshots as he was approaching the house. He said he saw a guy stumbling across the cul-de-sac. He said it looks like the guy has been shot. He said he doesn't want to drop the young man in his vehicle off until everything is all right. A few seconds later, the caller told the 911 operatives that officers have arrived at the scene. The officers saw a black male with gunshot wounds. He was barely breathing. As paramedics rushed the victim to the hospital, one of the officers said they need to clear the house. As officers were approaching the house, an officer discovered another victim shot dead in the garage. Later, they discovered a third victim shot dead in the living room. For homicide detectives, their chance of solving a murder is cut in half if they do not get a lead within the first 48 hours. A 10 years veteran of Gwinnett PD, Corporal Douglas Loomis, who worked at robbery at SBU before joining homicide last year, will lead the investigation. The victim at the hospital is a 45-year-old black male. He was shot 3 times in the chest, once in the back, and once in the leg. When CPL Douglas arrived at the scene, he met some police officers who were the first to respond. He approached them and asked them what they have. One of the officers showed CPL Douglas where the original call came from. CPL Douglas asked the officer if the neighbor said anything. The officer said within 30 seconds of their arrival, the neighbor went completely out of it. Officers were unable to get a statement from the victim who died at the hospital. 64 years old Robert grew up in Maryland. He moved to Georgia in his 30s. He worked as a maintenance engineer. Robert is survived by his mother and 3 brothers. CPL Douglas asked for the identity of the third victim. The officers said they are unable to identify him. They just know that he is a white male. One of the officers said somebody told him that they saw somebody run around the back into the swamp. The Lyft driver who called 911 said a man fled into the woods carrying a blue jacket. CPL Douglas asked the officers if the man was sure of what he saw. The officer said the man told him he saw it. With the information, the K9 handler off Lindsay tries to pick up the man's trail. A few seconds into the search, he called officers and told them he got some fresh footprints. He said the back of the area is a giant swamp. He said he won't be able to check very well. He said it might not be a bad idea to start Air 1. Air Unit joined the search using cameras that can track body heat. The officers in the house took a walk across the house. While they were walking, they found a 9mm gun near the car in the garage. They checked the unidentified white male in the garage. They noticed that he was shot 4 times, once in his head, shoulder, back, and leg. They discovered casings littered around the ground in the garage. In the living room where Bob the homeowner was found, they discovered that he has a gunshot wound to his chest and one to his arm. They found 2 9mm casings very close to his body. An officer said it looks like the homeowner was shot when he was walking down the stairs. CPL Douglas asked the officer if he thinks the homeowner tried to run for the door. He said he doesn't think so. Upstairs, the team discovered a child's bedroom. CPL Douglas asked the officers if they have searched the house for the child. The officers said they have searched for the kid, but he is nowhere to be found. CPL Douglas asked the officers if the dead guy at the hospital was the guy that shot these 2, and they shot him. One of the officers said they don't know. When the officers walked out of the house, CPL Douglas said, "For now, he doesn't know how everything is connected." One of the officers said when he was here, he met someone who told him that the kid is not Bob's child. He said from his explanation, the kid belongs to the dead guy at the hospital. The team decided to reach out to SRS to try to get the name of the missing child and his mother. CPL Douglas said they need to find out where the kid is. While some of the team works on finding the child, the K9 retracts the suspect sent to discover the blanket close to the swamp. Detective Lindsay said they need to cast around that area and see if they can find anything. In the house, the team located a house with an open crawl space. Inside the house, they located a bunch of muddy clothes, a couple of bags, and an AK pistol. The team believes the suspect starched a pair of jeans, a black bag, drugs, and an AK-47. CPL Douglas said what that means is that the suspect was running with a rifle, drugs, and he was half naked. CPL Douglas asked the officers if anyone has tried to knock on the door of the other house. The officer said no. CPL Douglas said how are they sure if the suspect is not in there holding the family hostage? CPL Douglas immediately got a search warrant signed and led the team members to the house. While they were approaching the house, he said he doesn't know if the suspect is there or holding anybody hostage. He just feels they need to check the house. The team make entry into the house and started clearing it. After a few minutes of searching, the team did not find the suspect. 3.5 hours in, a neighbor agreed to hand over a surveillance video to the detectives. Using the crime scene address, an SRS officer found the name of the guardian of the child who has been living at the house. The team was able to get the name of the fiancée of the victim who died at the hospital. Her name is Jennifer. As soon as detectives got Jennifer's number, Detective Loomis put a call through to her. When she answered the phone, Detective Linus introduced himself. He asked her where she is. Jennifer said she was trying to see if anything happened at her house today because somebody called her and told her that the house got shot up. CPL Loomis said they are trying to get across to her to make sure that she is okay. He asked her if she has been at the house today. Jennifer said she hasn't been there. Jennifer said she left there on Thursday night because she and the victim argued. Detective Loomis asked Jennifer if the kid is with her. Jennifer said the kid is with her sister-in-law. Detective Loomis asked Jennifer who else was at the house who wore glasses. Jennifer said Stephen Finch. She said Stephen was over there earlier. She said she spoke with her fiancé a few hours ago and he was hanging out with Stephen. She said Stephen and her fiancé were hanging out throwing darts in the garage. Detective Loomis asked Jennifer if her fiancé told her what he was doing there. She said he didn't because they had plans. She said she got a hotel room. She said they were just trying to have some time alone and see if they could work things out. Jennifer asked Detective Loomis if her husband is still alive. Detective Loomis said he is sorry but her fiancé passed away. Jennifer screamed. She started crying on phone. Detective Loomis told Jennifer that he would join her soon and he ended the call. Detective Loomis called Detective Smith and told him the name of the guy in the garage. He said Jennifer told him that the name of the guy in the garage is Stephen Finch. 33 years old Stephen Andrew Finch was born and raised in Georgia. He worked at a local seafood company to support his 3-year-old son. Stephen lives behind his parents, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers. Stephen's father Carl drove from Georgia to Gwinnett when a family acquaintance told him that his son may have been killed. While CPL Loomis was talking to Stephen's father, Stephen's Aunt Jessica called in. He told her that they just confirmed that Stephen Finch is one of the victims. Detective Loomis said he is sorry that this happened. He said he is going to make sure that they contact their family first when anything comes up. He said they are still trying to put the evidence together. Jessica said he went there to see his girlfriend. He said Stephen's girlfriend is pregnant for him. Detective Loomis said he is so sorry and he ended the call. A few minutes later, CPL Loomis and CPL Chris Smith met with one of the deceased fiancés. CPL Loomis asked her when the last time she was at the house was. She said she went there yesterday to get some clothes. Bob's fiancé asked CPL Loomis if her husband was among those that were killed. CPL Loomis said yes. As soon as she heard that, she started crying. She said she and the deceased were planning to get married. She said they had a big fight on Thursday, but he kept telling her to come home and everything. CPL Loomis asked her what happened on Thursday. She said her fiancé made her send some money to some people in Mexico. She said the money she sent was drug-related. She said she told him that she didn't want to live that way. She said she told him that he is putting their life in jeopardy. She said she kept telling him that. She said he was drinking when she was talking to him. She said a few seconds later, he stood and gave her a black eye. She said she left immediately after he hit her. She said the deceased was going to visit a doctor for anger management. She said that was the reason she got a hotel room. She said if he is dead, she might as well tell the truth. She said she has clue on who killed her fiancé. CPL Loomis asked her for the name of the person she thinks committed the murder. She said his name is Justin. She said they were selling drugs and Justin was the guy that used to go rob everybody. She said Justin usually beat them too. CPL Loomis asked her if Justin is a black male. She said yes. She said she doesn't know Justin's last name but the officers can find out because Justin's brother get killed at his hotel not too long ago when he was running from the police. She said he shot the police dog. She said Justin's brother was supposed to be robbing somebody. She said Justin thought Jennifer's fiancé set his brother up. She said she knew Justin was threatening the deceased and telling the deceased that he was going to get him back. CPL Chris Smith looks up the incident concerning Justin's brother. Bob's fiancé identified 21-year-old Justin as the man she knows. She said he has a lot of guns. She said she is willing to tell the truth because she wants whoever did this to be sent to jail right now. Bob's girlfriend asked the detectives if they still need her. CPL Loomis said they don't. He said if they need anything else from her, they will contact her immediately. The team finally gets a surveillance video from one of the neighbors. CPL Loomis and CPL Chris watched the video together. They saw how the suspect got into an argument with the victim who died at the hospital. The victim who died at the hospital was shot first. The camera was too far away for detectives to see the suspect's face. The team decided that CPL James should contact Uber to try and contact the driver who brought the suspect to the scene. 6 hours in, Uber reported that Justice Lask was the passenger. CPL James sent the driver's name and telephone number to CPL Chris. He said the passenger dropped off in an Uber. He said he got picked up in an Uber and he got dropped off in an Uber. According to Uber, Lask requested another ride that he used to flee the area. Uber gave detectives the address where he was dropped off. Detective Eddie sent the identity of the brother that shot Blue and it has the same address. The address checked back to Justice's father. CPL Chris said they will drive to the address and see what they can get. While detectives head out to begin surveillance on Lask's house, CPL limos called the driver who drove Lask to the crime scene. When the driver answered the phone, Detective Douglas said he knows it's late, but he is wondering if the driver can meet him at his headquarters so that he can show him a lineup of photographs. The driver said he can come right away. Detective Douglas said that would be good and he ended the call. Half an hour later, the driver was at the homicide headquarters. As soon as he arrived, he was taken into an interrogation room. Detective Richter went in and introduced himself to the driver. He played a recording of the call they made to Uber for the driver. After playing the recording of the call to the driver, Detective Richter showed the driver a photo of the suspect and where the murder happened. As soon as the driver saw the picture, he recognized the suspect. He said he was in the backside when he picked him. He was writing something on his seat. He said he doesn't argue with people because he doesn't know what they are going to do. He said he dropped him off and he turned around. He said suddenly he heard gunshots. He said after 3 or 4 minutes, he got another call from the same guy. He said he was thinking he just picked this guy and it's him again. He said he returned there to pick up the guy he just dropped off. He said when he got there, he met another Uber guy with a BMW. He said the Uber driver dropped a minor kid. He said the Uber driver he met there asked him if he heard the gunshots. He said the Uber driver told him that they shot the guy at the corner. He said the Uber driver was calling the dead guy and asking him if he was okay. He said he ran away. Detective Richter gave him another photo lineup to see who he can recognize in the photo. The Uber driver was able to identify Lask as the guy he dropped off before the shooting. He said when Lask got out of his car, he pulled his mask. He said because Lask was behaving weird, he looked at him with the hope of finding out who he is. He said Lask's name was showing justice. Detective Richter asked the Uber driver if the driver asked him to wait when he dropped him off. He said he did not ask him to wait. Detective Richter asked the Uber driver if he had any conversation in the car with Lask. He said Lask was smoking. He said he told Lask that he is asthmatic and he cannot handle smoking. He said Lask told him that he will finish his smoke outside. He said that was the only conversation they had. Detective Richter asked the Uber driver if the suspect was carrying anything. The Uber driver said the suspect was carrying a backpack. Detective Richter showed him a picture of a backpack that was found in the car space and asked him if the backpack on his phone was the same as the one the suspect had. The Uber driver identified the bag as the one the suspect was carrying. The Uber driver asked detectives if the guy is the victim or the criminal. Detective Richter said he is just someone they are trying to find. He asked if they cannot catch him. Detective Richter said they will get him. The detectives appreciated the Uber driver. He took his leave while they also walked out of the interrogation room. The detectives joined other team members who watched the interrogation from their computers. Detective Douglas Loomis thinks he now has enough evidence after securing a search warrant for Lask's address. Detective Richter said it will be nice to take Lask off the street today. As SWAT prepares to hit Lask's house, a report came in about a suspicious person in the neighborhood where the murders took place. The caller said the guy stopped the car and it was kind of strange. He said the guy ran to a house hiding and trying not to be seen. The 911 operative asked the caller how long the guy has been staying there. The caller said the guy has been there for 4 minutes. He said the guy drove off just now. The 911 operator asked the caller the type of vehicle the guy drove. He said the guy is in a black Camry. He said the guy is wearing a hoodie. He said the suspect is wearing a green, black, and brown army camouflage. The operator asked the caller whether the guy is a white or black male. The caller said the guy is a black male. The caller said the guy is coming back again. He said he can see him again. The 911 operatives told the caller that officers are on their way. He told the caller to stay on the line with him. A few minutes later, the officers spotted the black Camry driving slowly from the neighborhood and pull it over. 11 hours into the investigation, Justice Lask was brought to homicide. Detective Richter and another detective went into the room to interrogate him. Detective Richter asked Justice if he has ever been to police custody before. He said he hasn't. Detective Richter told Justice that the reason why he was there was that some people saw him walking behind a house. Detective Richter asked Justice what he was looking for back there. Justice said he has a friend who stays over there. He said he was trying to see how far they were away from the house. Detective Richter asked Justice where his friend lives. He said his friend lives on the next street over. Detective asked Justice to describe the house. He said his friend's house is in a cul-de-sac. Detective Richter asked Justice how he dove into the cul-de-sac. He said he drove through the left. Detective Richter asked Justice why he was just driving the car around. He said it was because they had it blocked off and he heard on the news that a homicide occurred in that area. He said as soon as he heard the news, he knew what to do, which was to go and get his stuff. He said he was trying to get to the victim's house where he left his gun several days ago. Detective Richter asked Justice what type of gun he left at the victim's house. Justice said it's an AK. Detective Richter asked Justin that when was the last time he shot a gun. He said he shot a gun some months ago. He said he was hurrying to get his gun because it's his. It has his name on it. Detective Richter asked Justice if he was there in the afternoon. He said he was there. Detective Richter asked Justice how he got there. Justice said he got there with Uber. Detective Richter asked him what happened when he got there. Justice said his friend wasn't at home, so he left. Detective Richter asked Justice if he walked into the garage. Justice said he didn't. Detective Richter said he did. After much pressure from the detectives, Justice admitted to speaking with his friend who was the victim that died at the hospital. Detective Richter asked Justice what they talked about. He said they were trying to help him keep his guns. Detective Richter asked Justice why he left his gun at his friend's house. He said he needed some money. Detective Richter said, so his friends loaned him money for his guns. Detective Richter asked Justice if he was going to pay back the money. Justice said he had the money. He said his friend just didn't want to give it to him. Detective Richter asked Justice that he said he saw it over the news that a homicide happened when he was over there. He said he doesn't know how Justice was there. Justice kept quiet for some seconds. After some seconds, he said the victim was arguing with him about trying to pick up his guns. He said his friend had a gun. Detective Richter asked Justice if he shot his friend because he was carrying a 9mm gun. Justice said that was how it happened. Justice said when he came into the garage, the victim was clutching at him. He said the victim got his hand ready on a gun, so he felt threatened. Detective Richter asked Justice how many times he shot the victim. He said he shot the victim twice. Detective Richter asked Justice what he used to shoot the victim. He said he used Glock. Detective Richter asked him why he shot the victims. He said he shot them because he was trying to get back his guns. Justice said he had a Glock 22 with a micro kit and a wooden Draco. Detective Richter asked Justice where he kept them. He said it was in his backpack. Detective Richter asked Justice if he knew that was how everything will turn out. Justice said he went there to get his stuff. He said he just wanted to collect his stuff and leave there and never go there again. The detectives walked out of the interrogation room and joined their colleagues who watched the interrogation on their computer screens. Detective Richter said he is happy that they got a confession. He said the case is straightforward since the suspect said he shot the victim. Just 12 hours into the investigation, CPL Douglas Loomis closed his case. Justice Lusk was charged with 3 counts of malice murder and 3 counts of felony murder. He is awaiting trial 7 months after Stephen's murder. Stephen's sister Jessica is still learning to cope with the loss. Jessica and Bob's mother Mary became friends.